Chapter 2351. Du Shida. Seeing the old man's face, Tai Feng said word by word. National Advisor. Du Shibing's reaction was different from Tai Feng's. After Du Shida came out, his face was filled with ecstasy as he hurriedly said. Although Du Shida was his uncle, he would still address Du Shida as state preceptor. Yes. Du Shida just nodded at Du Shibing and then walked towards the altar step by step. Swish! Seeing Du Shida's direction, Tai Feng immediately jumped up and blocked in front of him. Get lost! Du Shida casually waved a fist. Not good. Facing Du Shida's attack, Tai Feng did not dare to be careless. He quickly gathered the immortal chi in his body on his fist and hit Du Shida's fist with a backhand. Crack! The two collided. Du Shida continued to move forward. On the other hand, Tai Feng flew straight to the side. Without caring about Tai Feng's life or death, Du Shibing stopped 10 meters away from the altar. Tai Muyu, the grievances between us can be settled today. Looking at the Tai Muyu on the altar, Du Shibing said lightly. Sigh. On the altar, Tai Muyu opened his eyes, sighed, and said, What will come will come. I originally thought I could use the formation around the number 1 box to stop you for a while. But who would have thought that you have already reached a profound level and your strength has improved greatly? Soon, you will break the formation. Well, it's time to settle things. Swish. While talking, the Tai Muyu opened his mouth and swallowed all the liquid in the altar. Chi, chi, chi. Even those martial artists at the peak of the Lord of Heaven who were pouring energy into the altar were not spared. The Tai Muyu's swallowing power was extremely strong. These martial artists at the peak of the Lord of Heaven were swallowed before they could react. Why bother? Du Shida said calmly. As long as you give me the mother spring of the Ironwood Divine Spring, I can spare your Ironwood family. If you want the mother spring, it depends on whether you have the ability. Tai Muyu shook his wrist and took out a golden jade bottle from his bosom. There wasn't much liquid in the jade bottle, but even Ning Yu and Lin Lang could sense the terrifying aura emanating from it. Here comes the highlight. Lin Lang took a deep breath, turned his head, and said to Ning Yu, Listen to my command later. Use all your trump cards and snatch the mother spring from the Ironwood fish. What is the mother spring? Ning Yu was puzzled. The so-called mother spring is the essence of the Ironwood Divine Spring. Lin Lang explained, The Ironwood Divine Spring that we obtained from Tai Feng was only diluted. To put it simply, the mother spring in Tai Muyu's hands is equivalent to 10%. Tens of thousands of portions of Ironwood Divine Spring. Hiss! Upon hearing Lin Lang's explanation, Ning Yu sucked in a breath of cold air. Tens of thousands of copies? Could it be that exaggerated? One had to know that a portion of Ironwood Divine Spring was enough for an ordinary Heaven Monarch martial artist to increase by 1 rank. If the Mother Spring was so terrifying, wouldn't it be even more terrifying than the Immortal King Elixir? After snatching the Mother Spring, we will each get a portion. Ignoring Ning Yu's shock, Lin Lang continued, Don't hold back. Even if you only get half of the Mother Spring, it will be enough for you to break through to the Immortal King realm. Why didn't the Ironwood fish break through to the Immortal King realm? Ning Yu frowned. Logically, with the Mother Spring in the hands of the Ironwood fish, there was no reason for him not to break through to the Immortal King realm. The people of the Ironwood family cannot use the Ironwood Divine Spring. In order to get Ning Yu's help, Lin Lang had to explain again, Anyway, remember this. You only have the Mother Spring in your eyes. Other things have nothing to do with you. I know. Ning Yu nodded. Lin Lang said it so seriously. He more or less understood how precious the Mother Spring was. Boom. While Ning Yu was still talking to Lin Lang, the Ironwood fish was already fighting with Du Shida. Rumble. Not only were the Ironwood fish and Du Shida fighting, but Tai Feng and Du Shibing were also fighting. Although Tai Feng was injured by Du Shida, Tai Feng did not hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his strength, forcing a draw with Du Shibing. Supreme Box 1. 2 battlefields. Tai Feng and Du Shibing were evenly matched. In a short period of time, no one could do anything to the other. As for the Ironwood fish and Du Shida, it was a one-sided fight. Dushita had the absolute upper hand. As the battle progressed, the Ironwood Fish's situation became more and more dangerous. In the end, even the aura of his body began to decline. Do I have to use that move after all? Seeing that he was about to be defeated by Dushita, the Ironwood Fish's face showed a look of unwillingness. The Ironwood family had a secret technique that could instantly increase one's combat power by several times. But the price was very high. Every time he used the secret technique, he needed hundreds of years, or even tens of thousands of years to recover. Fight! Looking at the fierce battle between Tai Feng and Du Shibing, the Ironwood Fish gritted his teeth, took out a white pill, and threw it into his mouth. Crack! As the pill entered his stomach, an extremely terrifying aura emitted from the Ironwood Fish's body. Not good. Dushita was not a stupid person. Back then, when the immortal king of the Endless Sky Celestial Kingdom fought against the immortal king of the Ironwood race, the immortal king of the Ironwood race had an absolute advantage. However, the immortal king of the Ironwood race used this move and eventually perished together with the immortal king of the Endless Sky Celestial Kingdom. Although Dushita had expected this situation when he came here, he was still a little nervous when it really happened. Taking a deep breath, Dushita took out a few fist-sized black beads. Go! With a low shout, the black beads flew straight towards the Ironwood Fish. Boom! When the black beads approached the Ironwood Fish, they suddenly exploded. The terrifying shockwave of the explosion covered the sky and suppressed the Ironwood Fish. Block! The Ironwood Fish's face was expressionless. Energy emerged from his body, forming a protective shield around his body. Chi, chi, chi. Countless shock waves from the explosions continuously battered the energy shield. If this situation continued, it would not be long before the protective shield in front of the Ironwood Fish was reopened. Boom, boom, boom. As it turned out, Dushita's preparation was useless. Before the black beads broke the protective shield in front of the Ironwood Fish, the Ironwood Fish's aura began to soar rapidly. In a short period of time, the Ironwood Fish's aura had recovered to the half-step Immortal King realm, and it had reached the limit that this continent could bear. In other words, the Ironwood Fish's current strength was equivalent to Dushita's. Dushita wanted to rely on pure strength to defeat the Ironwood Fish. It was almost a fool's dream. All the people of the sky, endless celestial kingdom, should die. The Ironwood Fish looked coldly at Dushita and said coldly, "After I kill you, I will go to the sky, endless celestial kingdom, and kill them all." Not good. The Ironwood Fish's face changed dramatically halfway through his cold words. Bang! A cold light swept out from the void in front of him and hit his wrist. Swish! All of a sudden. Chapter 2352. Swoosh! The sudden change caused Tai Muyu's expression to change drastically. The mother spring of the Ironwood Divine Spring was the key to opening a secret realm in the Immortal Court. Once it was lost, he would lose control of that secret realm. So, without another word, Ironwood Fish immediately gave up on attacking Dushita and turned to chase after the Golden Jade Bottle. Your opponent is me. However, before Tai Muyu could take a few steps, he was blocked by Dushita. Dushita did not waste words with Tai Muyu. He immediately gathered energy on his fist and punched out. Damn it! Helpless. Tai Muyu could only temporarily give up on chasing the Golden Jade Bottle and chose to meet Dushita's fist. Bang! The two fists collided. Dushita and Tai Muyu both retreated a few steps before stopping. At this moment, the distance between them and the Golden Jade Bottle was exactly the same. They stopped fighting and stood on the spot, staring at the Golden Jade Bottle. No one made the first move, because they were very clear. Whoever snatched the Golden Jade Bottle first would be attacked from behind by the other person. At this moment, the situation became a stalemate. Attack! While Tai Muyu and Dushita were in a stalemate, Lin Lang did not stay idle. He first shouted at Ningyu, then his body flashed and rushed towards the golden bottle. Swoosh! Swoosh! Seeing Lin Lang rush out, Ningyu immediately followed. His speed was not any slower than Lin Lang's. Damn it! Ning Yu and Lin Lang's attack caused Du Shida and Tai Muyu's expressions to turn ugly. The two of them were fighting for the golden bottle, but Ning Yu and Lin Lang actually wanted to stop them. This was intolerable. The enraged Tai Muyu and Du Shida seemed to form a united front, and both rushed out. Their target was clear. Even if they could not get the golden bottle, they could not let Ning Yu and Lin Lang get it. I will stop them. Turning his head to look at Du Shida and the iron wooden fish who were chasing after him, Lin Lang clenched his teeth and hurriedly transmitted his voice to Du Shida. You must snatch the mother spring, then leave at all costs. I will think of a way to find you. Rumble. After giving the instructions, Lin Lang took out hundreds of talismans from his bosom. Chi-Chi. He channeled his immortal energy into the talisman. Voila! With a flick of his wrist, hundreds of talismans appeared in front of the ironwood fish and Du Shida. Explode. Following Lin Lang's low shout, hundreds of talismans exploded at once. Rumble. The shockwave produced by the explosion of the talisman was extremely powerful. Not only were Tai Muyu and Du Shida affected, even Tai Feng and Du Shibing were greatly affected. Ha! While Tai Muyu and the others were fighting against the aftereffects of the talisman's explosion, Ning Yu reacted quickly and held the golden bottle firmly in his hand. Sky-reaching disc. After obtaining the golden bottle, Ning Yu immediately took out the sky-reaching disc and threw it into the air. Ka-ka-ka! The sky-reaching disc spun rapidly. Furthermore, it was getting faster and faster. 1 second later, the void around the sky-reaching disc suddenly split open, and a gap appeared in front of Ning Yu. Let's go. Without any hesitation, Ning Yu immediately entered the space crack. Swish! As soon as Ning Yu stepped into the spatial rift, the sky-reaching disc under his feet also disappeared. As for the space crack, it completely closed not long after Ning Yu and the sky-reaching disc disappeared. In the distance, Tai Muyu and Du Shida could not help but roar angrily when they saw the crack closing. Losing the mother spring of the Ironwood Divine Spring meant that they could not open the secret realm and lose control of it. This loss was greater than the heavens. Chase. Tai Muyu and Du Shida looked at each other and immediately formed a short-term cooperation to chase after Ning Yu. One had to know, in that secret realm, there was the divine liquid necessary to break through to the Immortal King realm. Without the divine liquid, no matter how talented one was, no matter how many Immortal King elixirs he swallowed, he could not advance to the Immortal King realm. Now that the Mother Spring was taken away by Ning Yu, how could Tai Muyu and Du Shida not be angry? At the same time, they had not lost their minds. Even if Ning Yu took away the Mother Spring, he should not be able to refine it in a short period of time. As long as they could catch up to Ning Yu, they would definitely be able to snatch the Mother Spring back. Swish! Ning Yu did not know what Tai Muyu and Du Shida were thinking. In order to increase the distance between them, Ning Yu did not hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his speed. With the support of the sky-reaching disc, in addition to Ning Yu burning some of the mother spring of the Ironwood Divine Spring, the speed of the sky-reaching disc reached its limit. Very soon, Ning Yu pulled away from Tai Muyu and Du Shida. Moreover, according to the speed of Tai Muyu and Du Shida, they might not be able to catch up even after 3 days. Phew! Sitting cross-legged on the sky-reaching disc, Ning Yu could not help but let out a long sigh. To be honest, the first time he saw Tai Muyu and Du Shida display the strength of a half-step Immortal King, Ning Yu's heart collapsed. Although his strength was comparable to a half-step Immortal King, Tai Muyu and Du Shida had reached the peak of a half-step Immortal King, which was the limit that this continent could bear. Now was good. With the help of the sky-reaching disc and the mother spring of the Ironwood Divine Spring, he had a certain distance from Tai Muyu and the others. With a flick of his wrist, Ning Yu sat on the sky-reaching disc and took out the golden bottle. Looking up and down at the golden bottle, Ning Yu was secretly surprised. The fact that the golden bottle could contain the mother spring was enough to show that it was extraordinary. According to Ning Yu's preliminary observation, the level of this golden bottle had also reached the terrifying Immortal King level. an immortal king-level magic treasure. However, the golden bottle was an early immortal king-level magic treasure, while the sky-reaching disc was an intermediate immortal king-level magic treasure. Why don't I break through to the Lord of Heaven realm now? Ningyu gritted his teeth and immediately opened the golden bottle, pouring out a quarter of the mother spring inside. Gulp! He did not think much about it. Ningyu opened his mouth and poured a quarter of the mother spring into his mouth. The mother spring flowed down his throat and into Ningyu's stomach. As soon as the mother spring entered his stomach, Ningyu immediately activated his spell and began to cultivate. Boom! Originally, the energy in Ningyu's sea of consciousness was very large, enough for him to easily break through to the heavenly monarch realm. Now that he added a quarter of the mother spring, in an instant, Ningyu could not suppress the energy in his sea of consciousness, causing it to completely explode. Whoosh! In an instant, the void trembled, and a black mass of tribulation clouds appeared. The heavenly monarch tribulation. At this time, Ningyu's heavenly monarch tribulation had officially arrived. Rong Tianjun, take care of them for me first. Ningyu let Rong Tianjun out of the red demon sword and handed over the storage ring, the sky-reaching disc, and everything else on him, except for the remaining 3/4 of the mother spring, to Rong Tianjun for safekeeping. Ningyu planned to rely on his physical strength to overcome the heavenly monarch tribulation without any external help. This was because the tribulation clouds of the heavenly monarch tribulation were a kind of tempering for the god of war body. If Ningyu could successfully overcome the tribulation clouds of the heavenly monarch tribulation, then his god of war body would be close to perfection. Swish! Chapter 23:53. Good timing. Ningyu raised his head and looked at the tribulation cloud that was rushing towards him. With a loud shout, he stomped his feet on the ground and charged forward instead of retreating. Boom! In an instant, the thick tribulation cloud smashed onto Ningyu's body. A heart-wrenching pain swept through Ningyu's body. Enduring the pain coming from his body, Ningyu unleashed his war god physique to the extreme and charged into the tribulation clouds again. Whoosh! Ningyu seemed to have angered the tribulation cloud. Hundreds of tribulation clouds were all rushing towards Ningyu. Each tribulation cloud was like a whip lashing at Ningyu's body. Pa, 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 all kinds of slapping sound could be heard continuously. Master, can Ningyu really pass the tribulation of Heavenly Lord? In the distance, Ning Lu, the Dark Emperor, the double-horned demonic beast, the Red Fiend, and the others all came out of the Red Fiend's sword. The double-horned demonic beast looked at Ningyu, who was struggling in the tribulation cloud, and said hesitantly, I'm not very sure. Rong Hao shook his head and said, Ningyu's tribulation of Heavenly Lord is several times stronger than mine. Several times stronger than yours? Hearing Rong Hao's words, the Dark Emperor exclaimed. Who was Rong Hao? The experts of the Celestial Court were extremely powerful. Ningyu's tribulation of Heavenly Lord was several times stronger than his. Strictly speaking, it should be several times stronger than all the tribulation of Heavenly Lord I have seen, Rong Hao said in a deep voice. Hiss! This time, except for the Dark Emperor, even Ning Lu and the Red Fiend, who were calm, gasped. They had seen Ningyu go through the tribulation many times. Every time, Ningyu would get through it unscathed. However, the tribulation of Heavenly Lord was different from the ordinary tribulation cloud. That was because passing through the Heavenly Lord tribulation was equivalent to being on par with the Heavenly Way and having the opportunity to touch the threshold of the Heavenly Way. Ningyu did not know about the conversation between the Dark Emperor and Rong Hao. Oh my God, it really hurts. Ningyu couldn't help but curse as he was bombarded by countless tribulation clouds. Although the god of war body was strong, this was the Heavenly Lord tribulation. Strictly speaking, fortunately, Ningyu had swallowed a quarter of the Wood Divine Spring Mother Spring. Otherwise, just the impact of this tribulation cloud would have been enough to kill him. The first round of tribulation clouds quickly dissipated. Hua! After the tribulation cloud disappeared, Ningyu's figure flashed and fell to the ground from midair. Gulp! Without another word, Ningyu once again swallowed a quarter of the mother spring. After swallowing the mother spring, Ningyu immediately sat down cross-legged. He wanted to use the little time he had to recuperate and recover to his peak condition. Rumble. However, as soon as Ningyu sat down, the tribulation clouds in the sky came crashing down. Damn it! Cursing in his heart, Ningyu had no choice but to rush out again and use his body to withstand the impact of the second round of tribulation clouds. Fortunately, the effect of the Ironwood Divine Spring Mother Spring was extremely overbearing. A quarter of the Mother Spring only took a second to allow Ningyu to recover to his peak condition. Bang, bang, bang. The power of the second round of tribulation clouds was much stronger than the first round. Under the impact of this round of tribulation clouds, Ningyu even spat out a few mouthfuls of dark red blood, and the aura of his body began to drop sharply. Swallow again. At this critical moment, Ningyu couldn't care less. He once again swallowed a quarter of the Mother Spring. After swallowing the Mother Spring, Ningyu's aura soared once again. Not long after, the second round of tribulation clouds dissipated. Next, the third round of tribulation clouds, the fourth round of tribulation clouds, all the way to the ninth round of tribulation clouds, all came crashing down. In order to withstand the 9 rounds of tribulation clouds, Ningyu did not hesitate to swallow the entire Mother Spring, and the energy in his sea of consciousness was completely exhausted. Ningyu even burned his blood essence to increase his strength, and finally withstood the impact of the 9 rounds of tribulation clouds. Whoosh! After the 9th round of tribulation clouds dissipated, Ningyu let out a long breath, thinking that it was a close shave. Fortunately, there was the Ironwood Divine Spring Mother Spring and a huge amount of energy stored in his sea of consciousness. Otherwise, it was almost impossible for him to withstand the impact of the 9 rounds of tribulation clouds. Boom! The Heavenly Lord Tribulation had always been wave after wave. The 9 rounds of tribulation clouds disappeared. The 10th round, which was also the last round of tribulation clouds, suddenly descended. Is this the last one? Ningyu looked up at the tribulation clouds rushing towards him, and his face became extremely solemn. The last tribulation cloud was not big. On the contrary, it was only as thick as an arm. But Ningyu knew better than anyone else. Even an expert half a step to the Immortal King level would find it difficult to withstand its attack. Crack! Ningyu did not think much about it. He stomped on the ground, and suddenly a huge crack appeared on the ground. As for Ningyu's body, it shot out rapidly. Seeing that Ningyu was going to fight the last tribulation cloud, Rong Hao, Ning Lu, the Dark Emperor, and the others all looked at the sky, and no one moved their eyes. Swish! 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 However, at this moment, the space in the distance suddenly split open, and several figures rushed straight here. Oh no! Seeing them, Rong Hao's face changed dramatically. There were a total of 4 people, and Rong Hao was very familiar with each of them. The 2 in front were Tai Muyu and Du Shida. The 2 behind were Tai Feng and Du Shibing. There he is. When Tai Muyu and Du Shida saw Ningyu in the air, they both looked ecstatic. In order to catch up with Ningyu, they did not hesitate to burn their blood essence and use all their trump cards to increase their speed. But even so, it still took them several hours to catch up with Ningyu. No, he is going through a tribulation. Tai Muyu was just about to rush to Ningyu, but he hurriedly stopped, and his face changed slightly. Is it the great tribulation of the Immortal King? Dushida also stopped. However, Dushida's expression was very exaggerated, because he found that the tribulation cloud Ningyu was facing was extremely powerful, so powerful that even he was not sure that he could resist it. He was a half-step Immortal King. The tribulation cloud that even he could not resist could only be produced by the great tribulation of the Immortal King level. I don't care what tribulation he is going through. Anyway, he stole my Mother Spring, so he must return it to me. Tai Muyu's face was cold, and his eyes instantly moved to Rong Hao and Ning Lu. Swish! He did not say much. Tai Muyu and Du Shida looked at each other, and then immediately rushed out, trying to catch Rong Hao and the others. Go! At the critical moment, a huge palm appeared, suddenly grabbed Rong Hao and the others, and flew backward. Explode. As soon as the huge palm retreated, thousands of talismans exploded. With so many talismans exploding, the shock wave was no less powerful than the one in the Supreme #1 box. Damn it. The sudden change made Tai Muyu and Du Shida curse silently and hurriedly retreat. They were not hotheads. These talismans were all Immortal King talismans. When a single one exploded, the power might be limited. But with so many exploding at the same time, even if they were half-step Immortal Kings, they did not dare to say that they could resist 100% of it. What the hell is Ningyu doing? Why didn't he leave, but is going through the tribulation here? On the other side, the huge palm put Rong Hao and the others down, and a figure appeared. Lin Lang. Obviously, it was Lin Lang who saved Rong Hao and the others at the moment of danger. Chapter 2354. Mother Spring. Hearing Lin Lang's words, Rong Hao was slightly startled. Obviously, he did not know what the Mother Spring was. Previously, when Lin Lang mentioned the Ironwood Divine Spring to Ningyu, he had already entered the Red Demon Sword. Therefore, he knew nothing about the Mother Spring. Didn't Ningyu tell you? Rong Hao's action made Lin Lang frown. He had desperately tried to stop Tai Muyu and Du Shida in order to get half of the Mother Spring. If not for the Mother Spring, he would not have used so many talismans. Even, he had used thousands of talismans to save Rong Hao and the others. With so many talismans, if he could not get the Mother Spring, he probably would not even have tears to cry. One had to know. He had used up all of his trump cards in his two powerful attacks. Lin Lang. Tai Muyu's face was extremely cold. He knew that he could not interfere with Ningyu's Lord of Heaven tribulation and could only wait for Ningyu to finish. However, Ningyu's friends were different. If he could capture Ningyu's friend before Ningyu successfully transcended the heavenly tribulation, then even if Ningyu successfully transcended the heavenly tribulation, he would still have the absolute initiative and make Ningyu hesitate to take action. But now, Lin Lang's interference made him very angry. I will settle the score with you later. Lin Lang glared at Rong Hao and immediately turned to look at Tai Muyu, saying coldly, "They are people I want to protect. Before you touch them, you better consider withstanding my talisman attack." While speaking, Lin Lang's palm reached into his bosom and was about to take out a talisman. Swish! 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 Lin Lang's action directly caused Tai Muyu, Du Shida, Tai Feng, and Du Shibing to retreat. Lin Lang's cultivation was not strong, only at the peak of Lord of Heaven, but he had a lot of talismans. At this time, Tai Muyu and Du Shida did not want to fight Lin Lang first. For a moment, the scene became quiet. Lin Lang stood in front of Rong Hao and the others, his arms crossed as he stared at Ningyu, who was undergoing his tribulation in midair. In fact, at this time, Lin Lang really hoped that Ningyu could successfully transcend the tribulation. After all, the Mother Spring was the most important. He was also a member of the Immortal Court. In order to obtain the Mother Spring, he even acted as a spy and was recruited by Tai Feng. Now that the opportunity was right in front of him, he did not want to give it up. But Lin Lang was also very clear. Whether or not he could obtain the Mother Spring depended entirely on Ningyu. In other words, it all depended on whether Ningyu had exhausted the Mother Spring. Puff! Ningyu did not know about the worries in Lin Lang's heart. At this moment, his body had forcefully withstood the last tribulation cloud, and his internal organs had suffered a great impact. At the final stage of the heavenly monarch tribulation, what was really tested was not the strength of the body, but the willpower. If Ningyu could hold on for another 3 minutes, his tribulation of Lord of Heaven would end, and he would be able to enjoy the fruits of victory. But if he couldn't hold on for more than 3 minutes, he would be severely injured and half of his body would be paralyzed. In the worst case, he would be blasted into smithereens on the spot. Drip, drip. Time passed. Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, 1 minute had passed. In midair, Ningyu forcefully endured the pain from his body and vomited a large mouthful of blood. 2 more minutes. Ningyu clenched his teeth and persevered. Crack! Crack! The second minute, Ningyu paid the price of 2 broken ribs. The third minute, Ningyu's entire mental state had fallen to the bottom. Boom! When the fourth minute arrived, the tribulation cloud in midair suddenly dissipated, and what replaced it was a giant golden bronze cauldron. Swish! Ningyu did not have any hesitation. He immediately used his speed to the extreme and jumped into the bronze cauldron. Chi. As soon as Ningyu jumped into the bronze cauldron, the heavenly tribulation liquid in it continuously entered his body. Crack! 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 Ningyu's broken ribs and the injuries of his internal organs were also healing at an extremely terrifying speed. In a short second, not only did Ningyu repair his broken ribs, but even his 5 viscera and 6 bowels had completed the transformation. Boom! Furthermore, with the absorption of the heavenly tribulation liquid, Ningyu's aura was also increasing rapidly. Originally, even if he passed the heavenly monarch tribulation, his cultivation was only at the early stage of heavenly monarch. However, his heavenly tribulation liquid was extremely terrifying, and the energy it contained was even comparable to the ironwood divine spring. Under such circumstances, his cultivation advanced to the middle stage of heavenly monarch almost effortlessly, and he was even advancing to the late stage of heavenly monarch. Swish! Swish! However, just as Ningyu was about to break through to the late stage of heavenly monarch, his expression suddenly changed slightly. This was because his keen perception had discovered that 2 figures were speeding towards him. No, to be precise, it should be 3 figures. Behind the 2 figures at the front, there was a young man, red fiend sword. Ningyu suddenly flew out of the bronze cauldron and shouted, "Swish!" The red fiend understood and immediately drilled into the red fiend sword, controlling the red fiend's sword to fly in front of Ningyu. Ha! Ningyu's eyes and hands were sharp, and he firmly grabbed the red fiend sword. All of you get in. With a low shout, Ningyu inserted the red fiend's sword into the bronze cauldron. Splash! With the emergence of the red fiend sword's suction, the heavenly tribulation liquid in the bronze cauldron was entering the red fiend sword at a terrifying speed. Very soon, all the heavenly tribulation liquid in the bronze cauldron entered the red fiend sword. Crack! The heavenly tribulation liquid disappeared, and the bronze cauldron seemed to feel that its mission was completed. It instantly drilled into the void and disappeared. At this moment, Iron Muyu and Du Shida rushed over, and each of them threw a punch at Ningyu's head. This punch, Iron Muyu and Du Shida seemed to have formed a tacit understanding and did not use their full strength. After all, the mother spring was with Ningyu. If they used their full strength and caused the mother spring to fall, they probably would not even have tears to cry. However, their actions gave Ningyu many opportunities. The immortal chi in his body was injected into his fists, and Ningyu threw out 2 punches. His left fist hit Du Shida, and his right fist hit Iron Muyu. Leave the mother's spring to me first. Seeing Ningyu's savage actions, Lin Lang, who was chasing from behind, shouted. Lin Lang was so angry that his face turned green. Why was Ningyu pretending to be a big shot? He had clearly just advanced to the heavenly monarch realm. Even if he jumped 2 levels and reached the middle stage heavenly monarch realm, his opponent was a half-step immortal king realm expert. Lin Lang was very confident in his own strength. But as strong as he was, if he did not use his trump card, it would be very difficult to fight against a half-step immortal king realm expert. Moreover, Iron Muyu and Du Shida were not ordinary half-step immortal kings. The strength of each of them had reached the limit of the limit. Unless they encountered a real immortal king, otherwise, they could do whatever they wanted. Bang! Bang! While Lin Lang was worried about Ningyu, Ningyu was fighting with Iron Muyu and Du Shida. 2 crisp sounds rang out consecutively. Soon after, 2 figures were sent flying backwards. What? Chapter 2355. Gulp. Lin Lang did not say much, only swallowing a mouthful of saliva. In the current situation, Lin Lang knew that he was still the original him, but Ningyu was no longer the original Ningyu. After advancing to the middle stage of Heavenly Monarch, Ningyu's strength seemed to have a qualitative leap. Although Tai Muyu and Du Shida were careless, Ningyu's strength was already an indisputable fact. After being repelled by Ningyu, Tai Muyu and Du Shida both stood up from the ground and let out angry roars. In order to prevent the Mother Spring from being destroyed, they did not use their absolute trump card. But now, instead, they were repelled by Ningyu, and were at an absolute disadvantage. Ningyu did not care how Tai Muyu and Du Shida roared. He knew very well that the most urgent thing was to rush up as soon as possible and defeat them with a thunderous method before they could react. Otherwise, if two peak half-step immortal kings attacked together, even he would feel very strained. Swoosh! However, after flying a few steps, Ningyu suddenly stopped. What a pity! Sighing to himself, Ningyu immediately turned around and rushed towards Rong Hao and the others. Tai Muyu and Du Shida were indeed half-step immortal kings. If an ordinary martial artist was hit by him, they would probably be stunned for a while. But Tai Muyu and the others only needed a second to completely recover. You guys go in first. Arriving in front of Rong Hao and the others, Ningyu did not beat around the bush and said directly, swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Rong Hao, Ning Lu, the Dark Emperor, the double-horned demonic beast, they knew the severity of the matter. With their strength, they would not be of any help even if they stayed. Entering the Red Fiend Sword was the greatest help to Ningyu, so they did not say anything and directly entered the Red Fiend Sword. Ningyu, where's my Mother Spring? Lin Lang did not care so much. In order to obtain the Mother Spring, he did not hesitate to use thousands of talismans. If he could not obtain the Mother Spring, then his departure from the Immortal Court was destined to be a huge loss. I used it all. Ningyu had just opened his mouth to speak when he saw Lin Lang's furious expression. Seeing this, Ningyu hurriedly said, "Don't worry, you want the Mother Spring to break through. I've already found a replacement for you." During the conversation, Ningyu flicked his wrist and threw a jade bottle to Lin Lang. This is lightning tribulation fluid. Catching the jade bottle that Ningyu had tossed over, Lin Lang was shocked when he felt the terrifying energy emanating from the liquid inside. When did the thunder tribulation liquid produced by the heaven monarch tribulation become so terrifying? You should know. Back when he was undergoing the heaven monarch tribulation, the thunder tribulation fluid that was produced was terrifying, but compared to Ningyu's, it was like heaven and earth. If I remember correctly, you produced a lot of thunder tribulation fluid when you were going through the heaven monarch tribulation, right? Lin Lang accepted the lightning tribulation liquid and continued. Give me another 3 to 5 bottles, and the matter between us will be settled. Lin Lang was not a hothead. Ningyu said that the thunder tribulation liquid was more precious than the Mother Spring. Although it was a bit exaggerated, the effect was not much different. Moreover, the thunder tribulation liquid that Ningyu had given him was far more than half of the Mother Spring. Because the jade bottle that Ningyu had given him was a spatial magic treasure, there was a lot of thunder tribulation liquid inside. However, who would complain about having more thunder tribulation liquid? If he could get more thunder tribulation liquid, his chances of breaking through to the half-step immortal king, or even becoming a true immortal king in the future would be higher. 3 to 5 bottles. You really dare to think. Ningyu rolled his eyes. Without Lin Lang's permission, he had used up all the Mother Spring. It was indeed a bit unkind. However, he had given Lin Lang a lot of thunder tribulation liquid as well. A quarter. Other than a quarter of what he had consumed and half of what he had stored in the Red Demon Sword. The remaining quarter was all given to Lin Lang. If he was not satisfied with this, Ningyu really wanted to slap Lin Lang to death. If you want the thunder tribulation liquid, it's not impossible. You and I will join hands and kill Iron Muyu and Du Shida. Ningyu's eyes turned, and he said, "They are both peak half-step immortal kings. There must be a lot of good things on them. Kill them. No, I don't want the thunder tribulation liquid, okay?" Lin Lang waved his hand, interrupting Ningyu, and said, "The mountains will not change. The rivers will flow forever. We will meet in the immortal court." Whoosh. Finished. Lin Lang did not care whether Ningyu agreed or not, and immediately tore the void, wanting to drill inside. Boom. However, before Lin Lang could drill into the void, Iron Muyu and Du Shida's attacks suddenly arrived. Helpless, Lin Lang could only take out thousands of talismans from his bosom and threw them out. My thunder, tribulation liquid. Seeing Lin Lang take out thousands of talismans, not only Iron Muyu, who was rushing towards him, cried out in surprise. Even Ningyu was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Although Ningyu was transcending the tribulation just now, his eyes were not blind. He saw Lin Lang taking out so many talismans to stop Iron Muyu and Du Shida all at once. At that time, Ningyu thought that Lin Lang had taken out all his trump cards, so he gave him a little more Thunder Tribulation liquid. Now it seemed, Lin Lang still had a lot of trump cards. Maybe he had tens of thousands of talismans on him. Who is he? Ningyu frowned, and for the first time, he was interested in Lin Lang's identity. However, this was only temporary. Very soon, Ningyu's attention was attracted by Du Shida. It seemed that the defeat just now made Du Shida very angry, and his first move was a killing move, and each move was fatal. Fortunately, Ningyu advanced to the middle stage Heaven Monarch, otherwise he probably could not even withstand one move from Du Shida. Hand over the Mother Spring, and I will spare your life. After a few moves, Du Shida took a few steps back, looked at Ningyu coldly, and said in a deep voice, "Otherwise, I will let you know what cruelty is. Sorry, the Mother Spring that belongs to me has been swallowed by me." Ningyu shrugged and said indifferently, "I am afraid you will not get any benefits from me." And, hearing Ningyu's words, Du Shida could not help but look at the other battlefield. He had discussed with Iron Muyu. He would deal with Ningyu, and Iron Muyu would deal with Lin Lang. The Mother Spring would belong to whoever snatched it. Originally, he thought that Ningyu and Lin Lang would each get half of the Mother Spring. Unexpectedly, Ningyu did not have any Mother Spring on him at all. This kind of situation was something that he could never have expected. "Do you think I will believe you?" Du Shida's face was cold, and he scolded, "I will give you one last chance. Hand over the Mother Spring." "You talk a lot of nonsense," Ningyu said impatiently. Then he stomped his feet on the ground and dashed out. Anyway, no matter what, he and Du Shida would have a fierce battle. Rather than talking nonsense with Du Shida here, he might as well take the initiative to attack. After all, a peak half-step immortal king like Du Shida was still very powerful. Courting death. Seeing that Ningyu did not run away, but instead rushed towards him, Du Shida could not help but curse. Chapter 2356. Crack, crack, crack. Du Shida's punch was so powerful that even the void let out a cracking sound. Even a clay figurine would get angry, let alone a peak half-step immortal king expert like him. Bang! In a flash, Ningyu's fist collided with Du Shida's fist. The two collided. The one-sided scene did not appear. Ningyu and Du Shida each took a few steps back and floated in the air. Damn it! Du Shida looked at Ningyu coldly and couldn't help but curse in his heart. When he fought with Ningyu just now, Du Shida thought that he had completely figured out Ningyu's real combat strength. However, after this exchange, he became very absent-minded. Ningyu's strength seemed to have increased a lot. Gulp! While Du Shida was slightly stunned, Ningyu quietly controlled the Thunder Tribulation fluid to flow out of the Red Demon Sword and into his body through his skin. After the Lord of Heaven's Tribulation, Ningyu originally wanted to break through to the late-stage Lord of Heaven. But Du Shida and the others arrived. Helpless, Ningyu could only choose to settle for the next best thing. He put away the Thunder Tribulation fluid and temporarily gave up cultivating. However, Ningyu did not dare to be careless when fighting with Du Shida, a peak half-step immortal king. Cultivating while fighting was the goal that Ningyu set for himself. Even if he could not break through to the late-stage Lord of Heaven, there would be a qualitative leap in his strength. This was not At first, Ningyu could only resist Du Shida's attack, but as the battle went on, he could already be evenly matched with Du Shida. According to this trend, Ningyu knew that he did not even need to advance to the late-stage Lord of Heaven to defeat or even kill Du Shida. Of course, Du Shida seemed to have noticed this as well. Therefore, Du Shida turned his eyes and shouted at Tai Feng and Du Shibing in the distance. "You two come over to deal with Ningyu. I will go help Tai Muyu." Du Shida was the kind of person who didn't bother about trifles. For the sake of benefits, he could stab his friends. Although Tai Feng and Du Shibing were only half-step immortal kings, their strength was not weak. Fighting with Ningyu, he wouldn't be defeated so quickly. As long as Ningyu was delayed, then he could join forces with the Ironwood Fish and defeat Lin Lang. After defeating Lin Lang, they would come over to besiege Ningyu. Why would they need to worry about the Great Master? Yes, Tai Feng and Du Shibing looked at each other before nodding their heads and rushing towards Ningyu. Actually, the two of them did not want to fight with Ningyu. Especially after witnessing how powerful Ningyu was, they only had one thought in their minds, and that was to leave as soon as possible, as far as they could. However, they had no choice but to obey Du Shida's request. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The next moment, three figures shuttled back and forth in midair. Tai Feng and Du Shibing rushed towards Ningyu, while Du Shida rushed towards Lin Lang. Gulp! How could Ningyu not know Du Shida's intention? It was just that he would not expose it. Such a good opportunity to swallow the lightning tribulation fluid to cultivate. No schemes or plots could compare to the steadiness of increasing strength. Just as Ningyu was swallowing the lightning tribulation fluid to cultivate, Tai Feng and Du Shibing had already arrived in front of him. Without any hesitation, the two of them immediately raised their right hands and fiercely smashed towards Ningyu's head. Whether it was Tai Feng or Du Shibing, they did not hold back at all. The fact that Ningyu could fight with Du Shida without falling into a disadvantageous position was enough to prove his valiant strength. At this time, if Tai Feng and Du Shibing dared to hold back, everyone would probably admire their courage. Crack! Crack! However, for some people, the ignorant were truly fearless. How much did Ningyu's strength increase? In a short period of time, his strength had doubled again. As for the lightning tribulation fluid on him, he was only left with a quarter. After swallowing so much lightning tribulation fluid, Ningyu was only a step away from the late-stage Heaven Monarch. But Ningyu would not break through to the late-stage Heaven Monarch now. He knew the priorities of the matter. Killing Tai Feng and Du Shibing was the most important thing. Everything else could be put aside for the time being. Clenching both his fists, Ningyu's left fist punched towards Tai Feng, and his right fist punched towards Du Shibing. Accompanied by two crisp sounds, Ningyu stood on the spot, while Du Shibing and Tai Feng's bodies were like kites with broken strings, flying backwards in a straight line. Puffed, puffed. Their bodies hit the ground. Tai Feng and Du Shibing each spat out a big mouthful of blood. The pseudo-half-step Immortal King's aura instantly dropped from the peak to the bottom. At this time, even a sane immortal or virtual immortal martial artist could easily kill Tai Feng and Du Shibing. Die! Hit the snake where it hurts. Don't hold back. Ningyu would not give Tai Feng and Du Shibing a chance to live. His figure flashed. He lifted both his feet and stepped on Tai Feng and Du Shibing's heads. Boom! Next, a terrifying devouring power burst out from Ningyu's ankle. Chi chi chi. Tai Feng and Du Shibing only lasted for a few seconds before they were devoured by Ningyu. Hiss! The miserable state of Tai Feng and Du Shibing fell into the eyes of Du Shida and Tai Muyu. Although they were working together to fight against Lin Lang, Tai Feng and Du Shibing were very close to them. One was a nephew, and the other was a son. Du Shida and Tai Muyu had no reason not to care about this. Phew! Du Shida and Tai Muyu were slightly distracted, allowing Lin Lang to heave a sigh of relief. He hurriedly flew towards Ningyu. To be honest, fighting one against two, Lin Lang felt immense pressure. Fortunately, Ningyu did something big and quickly killed Tai Feng and Du Shibing. Otherwise, his little life would have been killed by Du Shida and Tai Muyu. Good job. Lin Lang came to Ningyu's side, reached out and hammered Ningyu's shoulder, and said, I didn't expect you to hide your strength so well. If I had known earlier, I would have let you deal with Du Shida and Tai Muyu. I will kill Tai Feng and Du Shibing. Ningyu rolled his eyes at Lin Lang and said, Are you sure you can kill Du Shibing and Tai Feng in such a short period of time? Yeah. Lin Lang opened his mouth slightly. His expression was slightly awkward. He admitted that he was strong, and killing Tai Feng and Du Shibing was not a problem, but would take a long time. You're finished. No one in the world can save you. Lin Lang was just about to reply to Ningyu when he heard a loud shout. Boom! Boom! Then, Tai Muyu and Du Shida's aura suddenly burst out. How strong was the aura of a peak half-step immortal king? Crack! 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 Their auras had already reached the limit that this continent could withstand. As soon as the aura burst out, the void trembled, and the sound of the void breaking was endless. Go! Ningyu would not foolishly stay here and fight with Tai Muyu and the others. He grabbed Lin Lang's shoulder and directly sped away explosively into the distance. Chapter 23:57. Swish! Swish! Du Shida and Tai Muyu were extremely fast. Almost in the blink of an eye, they flew in front of Ningyu, blocking his way. Whether it was to avenge Tai Feng and the others, or to get the mother spring of the Ironwood Divine Spring. In short, Du Shida and Tai Muyu would never allow Ningyu to escape. Hand over the mother spring, and I will leave your corpse intact. Du Shida looked at Ningyu coldly and said in a deep voice, Otherwise, I will refine you into a puppet, and you will never crash. However, before Du Shida finished his words, his face changed dramatically because he discovered. The void in the distance suddenly split open, and several figures emerged from the void and appeared in front of him. Damn it! Seeing the sudden appearance of many martial artists, Du Shida had no time to scold Ningyu, and hurriedly adjusted his mental state to the best. Tai Muyu, who was next to him, also looked solemn. Ha ha! Among the several martial artists that emerged from the void, the leader was an old man dressed in white robes. The eyes of the old man in white first stopped on Ningyu and Lin Lang for a while, and then immediately fell on Du Shida and Tai Muyu. Looking up and laughing wildly, the old man in white said, It seems that this trip was not in vain. 2 half-step immortal kings. As long as I can devour and refine you, I think I can go to the immortal court. Heavenly demon? The old man in white did not pay too much attention to Ningyu, but Ningyu had a deep feeling about him. From the old man in white, Ningyu felt a familiar aura. Although the old man in white had concealed it well enough, Ningyu knew very well that this aura was the unique aura of the heavenly demon. Yes, it's the heavenly demon. Lin Lang's face was extremely solemn. The old man in white was the leader of this group of heavenly demons, and his cultivation was at the peak of the half-step heavenly king realm. As for the dozens of heavenly demons behind the old man in white, their cultivation ranged from the early stage of heavenly lord to the pseudo-half-step immortal king. Those heavenly lord realm heavenly demons were completely ignored by Lin Lang. What Lin Lang truly feared were the 4 sky fiends behind the white-clothed old man. The cultivation bases of the 4 of them were all half-step celestial kings. In a sense, they were much stronger than Tai Feng and Du Shibing. In other words, Ningyu could easily kill Tai Feng and Du Shibing, but he might not be able to easily kill the 4 of them. If a battle really breaks out later, it's best if we take advantage of the chaos to escape. Thinking of this, Lin Lang hurriedly transmitted his voice to Ningyu. Let Tai Muyu and Du Shida deal with them. We'll go as far as we can. Don't think too much. Ningyu took a deep breath and said calmly, That white-robed old man's target is obviously Tai Muyu and Du Shida. However, if my guess is correct, all the people behind the white-robed old man will be watching us to prevent us from escaping. Whoosh! As if to verify Ningyu's words, As soon as Ning Yu finished speaking, all the sky demons turned to look at him. Jinx! Lin Lang couldn't help but curse. He thought that he could leave easily, but now he had to experience a great battle. However, compared to fighting Tai Muyu and the others, Lin Lang preferred to fight against the sky demons. After all, the cultivation bases of these sky demons had not reached half-step Celestial King. As long as their cultivation bases were not half-step Celestial King, he had a way to deal with them. Tai Muyu, Dushida. Next to him, the white-robed old man crossed his arms in front of his chest, staring at Tai Muyu and Dushida with interest, and said, "You two experts of the Immortal Court actually left the Immortal Court without permission. Do you really think that the Immortal Demon contract is just a decoration?" Hua. Hearing the white-robed old man mention the Immortal Demon contract, Dushida and Tai Muyu's faces became very ugly. What is the Immortal Demon contract? Ning Yu asked in a low voice. The so-called Immortal Demon contract is a kind of contract signed between the Immortal Court and the Sky Demons. Lin Lang explained patiently. In ancient times, the experts of this continent fought with the Sky Demons and were eventually defeated and were forced to retreat to the Immortal Court. At first, the Immortal Court showed weakness and would give some cultivation resources to the Sky Demons every once in a while, and even ceded the continent to the Sky Demons. Because the experts of the Sky Demons were also seriously injured, the Sky Demons went into hibernation and temporarily did not attack the continent. Now that the Sky Demons are active again, it means that the old ancestor-level experts of the Sky Demons have awakened. After listening to Lin Lang's explanation, Ning Yu fell into deep thought. These things, if not for Lin Lang's explanation, he would probably only know after going to the Immortal Court. So it was not that the Sky Demons attacked the continent without permission, but this continent was ceded by all the experts in ancient times. The Immortal Demon contract is a deformed product. In another year, the Immortal Demon Convention will be held, and at that time, the Immortal Demon contract will be signed again. Dushida snorted coldly. Obviously, he did not agree with what the white-robed old man said. Hee, I don't care what you say. In short, I will give you a chance to live, surrender, or die. The white-robed old man smiled slightly and said indifferently, "Boom." As he spoke, a terrifying aura suddenly emitted from the white-robed old man. Crack, crack, crack. Being oppressed by the white-robed old man's aura, Dushida and Tai Muyu's pupils shrank, and their faces were full of shock. Their strength had reached the limit that the continent could withstand. But why did the aura that the white-robed old man emitted at this moment far exceed the limit that the continent could withstand? Swoosh! As if sensing Dushida and Tai Muyu's doubts, the white-robed old man waved his sleeves and directly took out a stone. Two-world stone. Seeing the stone in the white-robed old man's hand, Dushida and Tai Muyu's expression changed greatly. They were all super experts of the Immortal Court, and naturally knew what the two-world stone was. As long as one carried the two-world stone, then they could ignore the pressure of the continent's heavenly Tao and forcefully execute moves that exceeded the limit. How could they fight? Once they executed moves that exceeded the limit, they would be forcefully suppressed by the heavenly Tao. On the other hand, the white-robed old man would not. No matter how many people they had, it was impossible for them to be a match for the white-robed old man. What should we do? Tai Muyu and Dushida's eyeballs moved, and they were discussing countermeasures. The current situation was already very clear. Surrender, and there was still a possibility of survival. If they continued to fight, the possibility of survival was only 10% or even less. Where there's life, there's hope. Dushida gritted his teeth and then immediately took a step forward and knelt in front of the white-robed old man and said in a deep voice, "I am willing to surrender to you, but I hope that you can swear a heavenly Tao oath and not control my personal freedom. I also choose to surrender." Dushida's surrender touched Tai Muyu. He also knelt on the ground and said in a deep voice, "My condition is the same as Dushida's. I do not want my personal freedom to be affected. I will surrender." Chapter 2358. Tai Muyu and Du Shida were both peak half-step immortal kings. Originally, Ningyu thought that if the two of them joined forces, even if they were not a match for the white-clothed old man, they could still withstand the impact for a long time. But now, Ningyu admitted that he was wrong, and he was ridiculously wrong. Whether it was Tai Muyu or Du Shida, neither of them had the intention to make a move. Even, they directly surrendered and chose to submit to the white-clothed old man. This situation was completely beyond Ning Yu's expectations. It was something that he could never have imagined. What should we do? Seeing that Tai Muyu and Du Shida had submitted to the white-clothed old man, Lin Lang moved a little closer to Ningyu and whispered, "Why don't we follow?" Lin Lang did not continue to say anything else. However, the meaning was self-evident. Submit to the white-clothed old man. Although Lin Lang did not want to do so, at the same time, he was very clear. Just one white-clothed old man was enough to make them feel very troublesome, not to mention Du Shida and Tai Muyu. Therefore, choosing to submit might be the only way to save their lives at this stage. Very good. A wise man submits to circumstances. The white-clothed old man nodded and said to Du Shida and Tai Muyu, "You are not weak. From now on, you will be my left and right arms and fight for me." Swish, swish. While speaking, the white-clothed old man rushed out, his hands repeatedly tapping on the heads of Tai Muyu and Du Shida. Puchi, puchi. Being tapped on the head, Tai Muyu and Du Shida both spat out a mouthful of dark red blood, their faces becoming extremely ugly. "You don't keep your word." Tai Muyu stared coldly at the white-clothed old man and said fiercely, "You promised not to control us, not to restrict our personal freedom. What are you doing now? Fight it out with him." Du Shida was also very angry. They submitted to the white-clothed old man, not to be controlled, but to survive, to stay alive. However, the white-clothed old man had taken advantage of their unpreparedness to forcefully inject a wave of energy into their heads. As long as the white-clothed old man was willing, he could detonate the energy at any time and turn them into ashes. Hee, what a fool. The white-clothed old man smiled faintly and said, "Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. You're pretending to be a snake before looking for an opportunity to escape. To tell you the truth, the energy I've injected into your heads is extremely terrifying. If you move your head, you'll be blown to bits." You, Tai Muyu and Du Shida's faces were cold and gloomy, and they looked extremely angry. However, although they were angry, they knew very well that since things had come to this, no matter how vexed and angry they were, it would be of no use. Instead of getting angry, it was better to think about what to do next. Should he fight the white-robed old man to the death, or should he just go along with the flow and submit? Go catch those two brats over there. The old man in white didn't care about the ironwood fish's anger. He turned around and pointed at Ningyu. "I'll give you 3 minutes. If you can catch them, I'll reward you with a few magic crystals. If you can't, you'll be punished." Mana crystals? Hearing the white-robed old man's words, Tai Muyu revealed a look of wild joy. Demonic crystals were a type of crystal that was equivalent to origin crystals. But among the sky fiends, demonic crystals were not simple. Generally speaking, only sky fiends whose cultivation had reached the peak of the half-step Celestial King realm and were about to break through to the real Celestial King realm were qualified to use them to cultivate. Now that the white-robed old man said that he would reward him with a few demonic crystals, and the price was an extremely low one for capturing Ningyu, how could he not be excited? Although Ningyu and Lin Lang were strong, Tai Muyu didn't pay too much attention to them. Firstly, his cultivation was strong, and secondly, with the white-robed old man around, presumably Ningyu and Lin Lang wouldn't dare to really kill him. Swish! Tai Muyu didn't think too much about it. He immediately moved and rushed toward Ningyu at an extremely shocking speed. "You're still not going to surrender." As he moved forward, Tai Muyu raised his head and shouted. Tai Muyu's thinking was very simple. First, he would use words to threaten Ningyu. Then he would use force to capture Ningyu. After all, no matter what, Ningyu was someone who had exchanged many blows with Dushita. Simply going head-on against Ningyu, it was not wise. All right, I choose to surrender. Seeing that Tai Muyu was in front of him, Ningyu hurriedly threw the red demon sword on the ground and said, The fact that Ningyu had thrown away the flying sword so easily made Tai Muyu a little puzzled. There must be a reason for this abnormality. He admitted that Ningyu's actions were very sensible, but for some reason, he still felt that Ningyu was up to no good. Swish! As it turned out, Tai Muyu's feeling was very correct. Just as he was in a daze, the red demon sword suddenly flew out and attacked him. Damn it! Originally, Tai Muyu was very close to Ningyu, and the red demon sword had been thrown by Ningyu, causing it to be very close to Tai Muyu. Under such circumstances, the red demon sword suddenly flew out, and Tai Muyu naturally couldn't block it. Poochie! The red demon sword drew a line across the ironwood fish's cheek before returning to Ningyu's side. Ha! Gripping the red demon sword tightly, Ningyu did not choose to hold back. Instead, he gave chase. Ningyu channeled the divine chi in his body into the red devil sword, and instantly engaged in a fierce battle with the ironwood fish. Interesting. It seems like I underestimated him. The white-robed old man looked at Ningyu with interest and murmured, with his intermediate heavenly monarch realm cultivation base, he can actually fight with a peak stage half-step immortal king without falling into a disadvantageous position. Once he advances to the peak stage heavenly monarch realm, or even a pseudo half-step immortal king realm, he will probably be able to kill Ningyu in an instant. He instantly killed the iron wooden fish. Why don't I go help? Dushita rolled his eyes and said hurriedly. The temptation of magical crystals was not only useful for the ironwood fish. Dushita also needed mana crystals. After all, whoever had demonic crystals would have a higher chance of becoming an immortal king. Forget it. Let's wait and see. The white-robed old man wanted to agree, but seeing that the ironwood fish was being suppressed everywhere, he waved his hand and said, I gave the ironwood fish a chance. If he can take down that kid, it is his blessing. I will give him 3 magical crystals. If he can't take it down, he can't blame me. I can go and capture the other one. Dushita gritted his teeth and said, Didn't you hear what I said? The white-robed old man put his hands behind his back and said lightly, In the future, I will not say the same thing a second time. If I hear anyone talking nonsense to me again, then he will end up very miserable. Yes. Dushita was shocked and said hurriedly. Dushita was very clear. Although the white-robed old man did not say it explicitly, it was obviously aimed at him. Magical crystals. Taking a deep breath, Dushita stared at the ironwood fish and Ningyu. To be honest, Dushita really did not want the ironwood fish to win. On the contrary, he hoped that Ningyu could win, or even kill the ironwood fish. There was only one benefit. If the ironwood fish got it, he couldn't get it. If he got it, the ironwood fish couldn't. Chapter 23:59. Boom. Ningyu and Tai Muyu knew nothing about Dushita's inner thoughts. At this time, they all used all their strength to fight. Although Tai Muyu was a peak half-step immortal king, he didn't have the slightest advantage when fighting with Ningyu. On the contrary, as the battle went on, his situation became more and more serious, and he was even at an absolute disadvantage. Humph, you forced me to do this. After a minute of fierce fighting, Tai Muyu snorted coldly and immediately took out a black bead from his arms. Swoosh! He flipped his wrist. The black bead immediately left Tai Muyu's palm and went straight to Ningyu. The black bead was very fast, and almost in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Ningyu. Boom! As soon as the black bead reached Ningyu, it exploded. Swish! Swish! Countless aftershocks of the explosion surrounded Ningyu from all directions. You're still not dead this time. Tai Muyu roared. The black bead was his absolute trump card. When he was dealing with Dushita, he was not willing to use it. Now, for the reward of magic crystals, he did not hesitate to use the black bead. After all, compared with magic crystals, a black bead was nothing. Damn it! Seeing the shock waves around him, Ningyu couldn't help but curse. If they really fought with strength, Tai Muyu might not be able to win. However, if they fought with trump cards, he was weaker than Tai Muyu. Because no matter what, Tai Muyu was also the only half-step immortal king expert of the Tai Muyu family. All the trump cards of the Tai Muyu family must be with him. In this case, if Ningyu wanted to defeat or even kill Tai Muyu, the situation was much more difficult. Kill. However, Ningyu didn't panic too much. He quickly waved the red demon sword, and in an instant, several sword lights emerged and collided with the shock waves caused by the explosion of the black bead. Swish, swish, swish. The sword lights and the shock waves collided with each other, making a sizzling sound. As for Ningyu, he stood where he was without moving an inch. How is this possible? When the ironwood fish saw this, his face was filled with shock. He was probably the only one present who knew the power of the black bead. Against a half-step immortal king, a black pearl could instantly kill him if it was a sneak attack. The black pearl was even capable of heavily injuring a peak half-step celestial king. However, a black bead exploded. Ningyu casually swung out a few sword lights and easily blocked it. How could Tai Muyu not be surprised by this situation? Although he was surprised, the iron-wooden fish quickly reacted. So what if Ningyu could block the shockwave of the black bead's explosion? You should know, his trump card was not as simple as a black bead. Whoosh! Zhang Xian thought. Iron-wooden fish took out several talismans. Even though there were only a few tens of talismans, the might of every single one of them was sufficient to kill a pseudo, half-step immortal king. Voila! He didn't think much of it. Tai Muyu threw all the talismans at Ningyu. Boom! All of a sudden, dozens of talismans exploded all at once. It seemed that Tai Muyu had intervened on his own initiative. The aftermath of the explosion this time did not disperse. Instead, it gathered together and blasted towards Ningyu's head. Block it for me. Ningyu's face was solemn, and he immediately slashed out several sword lights, forming a protective shield around his body. Ka. The power of the protective shield was not particularly strong. In just a few seconds, the protective shield was completely shattered. The shockwave produced by the explosion of the talismans reached Ningyu for the first time. It was only one step away from Ningyu. Thunder Tribulation Liquid. At the critical moment, Ningyu immediately swallowed the rest of the Thunder Tribulation Liquid and began to break through to the late stage of Lord of Heaven. Ningyu was very clear about it. In the face of Tai Muyu's many trump cards, it was very difficult for him to resist with his middle stage Lord of Heaven cultivation. Even if he could resist the first impact, he would be a little powerless in the face of the second impact and the third impact. In this way, breaking through to the late stage of Lord of Heaven was something that could be done once and for all. The Thunder Tribulation Liquid entered his stomach. Ningyu hurriedly operated his mental cultivation method to cultivate. Humph! The ignorant are really fearless. Seeing Ningyu's action, Tai Muyu could not help but snort coldly. At this time, Ningyu not only did not think of a way to resist his attack, but also broke through to the late stage of Lord of Heaven. In Tai Muyu's view, how could Ningyu break through to the late stage of Lord of Heaven in just a few seconds? Boom! However, Tai Muyu obviously thought a little too much. Only after 3 seconds, a terrifying aura suddenly emanated from Ningyu's body. I can't believe it. Feeling the aura emanating from Ningyu, Tai Muyu directly swore. Late stage Lord of Heaven. In just a few seconds, Ningyu actually broke through from the middle stage Lord of Heaven to the late stage Lord of Heaven. How'd he do it? Tai Muyu's expression was extremely shocked. It's not good to be distracted now. After advancing to the late stage Lord of Heaven, Ningyu immediately rushed out with the red demon sword in his hand. In order to break through to the late stage Lord of Heaven, Ningyu did not hesitate to swallow and refine all the remaining Thunder Tribulation Liquid. Even all the resources he had on him had been used up. It was no exaggeration. The wealth on Ningyu's body had become very little. However, it was worth it for Ningyu to improve his cultivation. Others might improve their cultivation from the middle stage Lord of Heaven to the late stage, but their strength would not improve too much. Ningyu was different. When he was in the middle stage Lord of Heaven, his combat strength could compete with a half-step immortal king. Even if he faced Tai Muyu, who was at the peak of the half-step immortal king level, he could still deal with him calmly. If it was not for Tai Muyu's many trump cards, it was hard to know who would win. Now that he had advanced to the late-stage Lord of Heaven, Ningyu's strength had instantly increased several times. When facing Tai Muyu again, Ningyu did not even need to use his full strength to defeat him. However, Ningyu's pursuit was not to defeat Tai Muyu, but to kill him, completely kill him. Therefore, Ningyu stepped on the ground with the red demon sword in his hand and rushed out, courting death. Seeing Ningyu rushing towards him, Tai Muyu showed an angry look. Seeing that the time given to him by the old man in white was almost up, if he could not capture Ningyu, he would lose everything. In order to defeat Ningyu, he did not hesitate to use many of his trump cards. Taking a deep breath, Tai Muyu forcibly performed a secret technique, burning his blood essence and vitality to improve his strength. Boom! As Tai Muyu continued to burn his blood essence and vitality, his aura was soaring at a terrifying speed. Go! Seeing this, the old man in white did not stop him, but flipped his wrist and threw the two-realm stone into the air. Whoosh! A terrifying beam of light shot out from the two-realm stone, enveloping Ningyu and Tai Muyu inside. The power of Ningyu and Tai Muyu's attack had exceeded the limit that this continent could bear. Without the help of the two-realm stone, they would probably be forcibly obliterated by the heavenly law. I can consider demonizing him. Chapter 2360. Demon Stone. A very special kind of stone. Any human martial artist who was eroded by the demon stone would leave the human category within 3 days and become a real heavenly demon. Of course, the demon stone was very precious. Even as a super powerhouse among the heavenly demons, the old man in white didn't have many. Consuming a demon stone to transform Ningyu didn't seem particularly cost-effective at the moment. Wait a little longer. Looking at the fierce battle between Tai Muyu and Ningyu, the old man in white didn't make a move. However, the old man in white had made up his mind. As long as Ningyu could kill Tai Muyu and then do Shida, he would consume a demon stone and turn Ningyu into a heavenly demon. Boom! Ningyu and Tai Muyu didn't know what the old man in white was thinking. At this moment, they were fighting desperately. It was a matter of life and death. Neither Tai Muyu nor Ningyu would hold back. You must die today. Tai Muyu roared and immediately rushed out. He clenched his right hand into a fist and smashed it hard at Ningyu's head. It could be seen, Tai Muyu didn't want to waste any more time with Ningyu. He mobilized all the immortal chi and energy in his body, and even used some of his trump cards. This blow, either Ningyu died, or he died. Are you going all out? Looking at Tai Muyu rushing over, Ningyu's face was slightly solemn. Facing Tai Muyu's attack, Ningyu wouldn't be careless at all, because no matter what, Tai Muyu was a peak half-step immortal king. Coupled with the influence of the two-world stone, Tai Muyu could attack without any worries. In this case, what Ningyu really needed to consider was not how to kill Tai Muyu, but how to resist this move. The first burst of energy, the second burst of energy, the third burst of energy. As long as he could resist this move of Tai Muyu, then the energy in Tai Muyu's heart would be relieved. At that time, wasn't Tai Muyu a lamb waiting to be slaughtered? Speed up. Thinking of this, Ningyu immediately gathered all the immortal chi in his body to his ankles, instantly increasing his speed to the maximum. Whoosh! After increasing his speed, Ningyu's speed was so fast that it was terrifying. Even if the iron wooden fish risked its life, it would not be able to catch up to him. Furthermore, the iron wooden fish's main offense was placed in his hands, and for a moment, he forgot about his speed. Do you only know how to run? The ironwood fish roared furiously. At this rate, it would be difficult for him to catch up with Ningyu even if he had another hour. If you have the ability, stop and fight with me for real. The ironwood fish roared. Ningyu's way of fighting made him very angry, but there was nothing he could do. The time given to him by the white-robed old man was almost up. If he still could not capture Ningyu, He reckoned that he would have to bear the consequences. Don't think that you're the only one who can speed up. Tai Muyu was not an indecisive person. He immediately ignited his blood essence and began to desperately increase his speed. Whoosh! For a peak half-step immortal king like the ironwood fish, his speed was naturally much faster. Almost in the blink of an eye, Ningyu was caught up by the ironwood fish. Good chance. Seeing the ironwood fish appear in front of him, Ningyu's face revealed a look of ecstasy. Even if the ironwood fish caught up, Ningyu was still fearless. In order to increase his speed, the ironwood fish ignited his blood essence and even gave up the powerful attack that he had just prepared. At this time, even if the ironwood fish caught up, what was there to be afraid of? Boom! Twisting his neck, Ningyu threw a backhand punch. Crack! In the blink of an eye, Ningyu's fist collided with the ironwood fish's fist. There was no suspense. With a crisp crack sound, the ironwood fish flew backward like a kite with a broken string. Boom! His body hit the ground and made a muffled sound. Originally, with Ningyu's means, even if the ironwood fish didn't die after hitting the ground, he would have lost several bones. However, at the critical moment, Dushita suddenly rose up, perhaps under the instructions of the white-robed old man, and helped the ironwood fish absorb a lot of the force. Otherwise, Ningyu's move alone was enough to make the ironwood fish suffer a grievance. But even so, the ironwood fish's breath was weak, and it was on the verge of death. What a cruel heart! Dushita checked the condition of the ironwood fish a little, and his face became extremely ugly. It was not that Dushita sympathized with the ironwood fish. On the contrary, he was happy that the ironwood fish was beaten like this. The reason why he behaved like this was because he was angry at Ningyu's ruthlessness. If it was not the ironwood fish that Ningyu fought with, but him, wouldn't he end up the same as the ironwood fish? What a pity! Ningyu glanced at the ironwood fish that fell to the ground and said lightly, if Dushita hadn't intervened, he would have been able to refine the ironwood fish by force. Once he refined the ironwood fish, his overall strength would even increase a little. At that time, even if he faced the old man in white, he might still be able to fight. Suddenly, Ningyu saw the two-world stone in midair. Without saying a word, Ningyu immediately jumped up and rushed to the two-world stone at an extremely terrifying speed. The two-world stone was a good thing. As long as he could get the two-world stone, he would be able to attack without any worries. After all, the two-world stone could isolate the oppression of the heavenly way. Want to snatch my two-world stone? Haha, interesting. The old man in white saw Ningyu's action and couldn't help but feel a little funny. He had left a restriction on the two-world stone. Even if Ningyu got it, he definitely wouldn't be able to exert its effect. So, he wasn't afraid that the two-world stone would be taken away by Ningyu. What? But very quickly, the old man in white's expression changed, because he realized that Ningyu had already come to the side of the two-world stone and was holding it in his hand. Also, after holding the two-world stone, Ningyu threw it into his robes. That was the key point. The old man in white's pupils constricted. Obviously, he had lost contact with the two-world stone. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, the white-robed old man immediately rushed out and charged at Ningyu at an extremely terrifying speed. The two-world stone was a good thing. Without the two-world stone, even he couldn't exert combat strength that surpassed a pinnacle half-step heaven immortal. Although he still had one more two-world stone, it wasn't enough for him to use his ultimate move. The limit that this continent could withstand was the same for ordinary experts. There wasn't much of a difference since their strength couldn't reach it anyway. But for a powerful sky demon like the old man in white, as long as he had the two-world stone, he could forcefully increase the limit. There were a total of 5 stages between a pinnacle half-step heaven immortal king and an immortal king. When his strength reached the 5th stage, he could attempt to become a real immortal king. For example, Tai Muyu and Dushita, although they were said to be pinnacle half-step heaven immortal, they hadn't even reached the 1st stage. As for the old man in white, he had reached the 2nd stage. He was a 2nd stage half-step heaven immortal. Two world stones could allow the old man in white to exert the strength of a second stage half-step heaven immortal. With one, he could only exert the strength of a first stage half-step heaven immortal. If it was a few months ago, the old man in white naturally wouldn't care. Chapter 2361. Kid, give me back the two-realm stone. Although the white-robed elder was making a huge commotion, he didn't attack Ningyu. Instead, he stopped a few steps away from Ningyu. The two-realm stone was extremely precious. The white-robed elder didn't want to force Ningyu into a corner and cause Ningyu to destroy the two-realm stone. At this moment, negotiating with Ningyu seemed to be the best choice. Why should I give back to you? The more the white-robed elder valued the two-realm stone, the more Ningyu couldn't return it. He looked at the white-robed elder coldly and said indifferently, I took the two-realm stone from the Iron Muyu. If I want to return it, I should return it to him. Don't be so shameless. The white-robed elder's face was extremely gloomy. If it wasn't to ensure the safety of the two-realm stone, he would have killed Ningyu a long time ago. Why would he be entangled with Ningyu like this? Hee. Ningyu smiled and said, I know what you are thinking. If you're not convinced, you can come over. Anyway, I have nothing to lose. If you dare to do anything to me, I will destroy the two-realm stone immediately. How dare you? The white-robed elder released his aura and said angrily, You can try. Ningyu shrugged and showed an indifferent attitude. Anyway, he couldn't return the two-realm stone to the white-robed elder. Although Ningyu didn't know how important the two-realm stone was to the white-robed elder, it wasn't Ningyu's style to return something that was already in his hands. Dushita. The white-robed elder was so angry that his nose was crooked. He turned to look at Dushita and said in a deep voice, Go and capture Ningyu's friend. Me? Dushita pointed at his nose and looked a little hesitant. Even Ningyu could kill the Iron Muyu by force, let alone Lin Lang. After all, Lin Lang was at the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm, while Ningyu was only at the late stage of the Heaven Monarch realm. Humph! I'll give you a few magical crystals. He snorted coldly, then flicked his wrist and threw 3 black crystals to Dushita. Ha! Dushita had an ecstatic look on his face as he received the magical crystal. He naturally knew how precious magic crystals were. The ironwood fish had even lost his life in order to obtain the magic crystal. He was different from the ironwood fish. The ironwood fish could only get the magic crystal if he brought back Ningyu. As for him, he could get the magic crystal beforehand. Kacha! Without any hesitation, Dushita threw the magical crystal into his mouth and began to chew and cultivate. Boom! As soon as the mana crystal entered his stomach, a terrifying aura emanated from Dushita's body and soared into the sky. Close to the first stage? Sensing the aura emitted from Dushita's body, Lin Lang's expression changed slightly. Even though Dushita was a peak half-step immortal king, and his strength had reached the limit that this continent could endure, he wasn't particularly afraid of him. After all, the limit was the limit. Dushita could reach it, but it didn't mean that he could use it unscrupulously. But now, Dushita swallowed a piece of magic crystal, causing his strength to soar by a lot. Although he hadn't reached the first stage, he wasn't far from it. Eat my fist. With the increase in strength, Dushita's confidence also increased. He raised his head and shouted loudly. Then he flashed out explosively and charged swiftly towards Lin Lang. Because Dushita's strength had increased by a lot, he only needed a short second to arrive in front of Lin Lang. Damn it! Seeing Dushita's appearance, Lin Lang cursed in his heart. After that, he gathered the energy in his body on his fist and punched out. Pum! The two fists collided. Dushita and Lin Lang retreated a few steps at the same time. Just looking at this attack, Dushita had the absolute upper hand, because he had only retreated 10 steps, whereas Lin Lang had retreated an entire 30 steps before stopping. If I didn't use so many talismans, I could kill you in an instant. Lin Lang wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said coldly, Dushita, I advise you to repent. Otherwise, when I reach the immortal court, the first one I will destroy will be the soaring sky immortal kingdom. If you want to destroy the soaring sky immortal kingdom, it depends on whether you have the strength to do so. Dushita wouldn't hold back. Firstly, he was really angry. Secondly, the white-robed elder was still watching from the side. He had taken a few magic crystals as a reward. If he couldn't take down Lin Lang as soon as possible, even he would feel embarrassed. Kill. Dushita's figure flashed as he rushed out again. How about it? Think about it. Return the two-world stone to me, then join the sky demon. I guarantee that you will be able to control an army of tens of thousands of heaven monarchs. On the other side, the white-robed elder didn't choose to fight to the death with Ningyu. Using both carrot and stick was the right choice. First, he would give Dushita magic crystals to increase his strength. After that, he would capture Dushita in front of Ningyu, giving Ningyu a lot of pressure. Finally, he was not afraid that Ningyu would reject him again. Really? Sure enough, as soon as the white-robed elder finished his words, Ningyu looked delighted and asked, "Controlling an army of tens of thousands of heaven monarchs is a little unreliable. Can you give me a few magic crystals?" When the white-robed elder took out the magic crystals just now, Ningyu also felt the terrifying waves contained in them. The energy contained in a magic crystal was almost equivalent to 1/10 of the Thunder Tribulation liquid. One had to know. The Thunder Tribulation liquid of Ning Yu's Heaven Monarch Tribulation was comparable to the Ironwood Divine Spring. A magic crystal was equivalent to 1/10 of the Thunder Tribulation liquid, which was enough to show the preciousness of the magic crystals. According to Ning Yu's deduction, if he could get 10 magic crystals, his cultivation would soon advance to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm or even the half-step Immortal King. Return the two-world stone to me first. How could the white-robed elder be so stupid? If Ningyu didn't give him the two-world stone first, he definitely wouldn't give the magic crystals to Ningyu. Don't think I'm a fool. Ningyu twitched his mouth and said, "If I return the two-world stone to you, you definitely won't give me the magic crystals." Humph. The white-robed elder took a step forward and snorted. "Don't be so shameless. I'll give you one last chance. If you don't give me the two-world stone, I'll kill you immediately. Even if I don't give you the two-world stone, I'll kill you." The reason why the white-robed elder didn't attack was that he was afraid that Ningyu would really destroy the two-world stone. But at this time, he was obviously provoked. To be honest, it wasn't particularly worthwhile to waste time with Ningyu here for a two-world stone. With his identity, if he returned to the base camp of the extraterrestrial demons now, he should be able to apply for another two-world stone. The only trouble was that it would take him 3 years. From the base camp of the extraterrestrial demons to here, even for him, it would take him 3 years. How about this? Ningyu rolled his eyes and looked at Lin Lang, who couldn't hold on any longer, then looked at the white-robed elder. He clenched his teeth and said, "Give me 5 magic crystals first, then I'll throw the two-world stone between us." The white-robed elder thought about it and felt that it was a good idea. However, he extended a finger and said, "1 magic crystal. 1 is not enough, at least 4. Ningyu shook his head and said, 2. The white-robed elder clenched his teeth and said, 4. 3, that's the limit. Chapter 2362. Here you go. The old man in white didn't seem to be afraid that Ningyu would go back on his word. He flicked his wrist and threw out 3 demonic crystals. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Seeing the 3 demonic crystals flying towards him, Ningyu raised his right hand and caught them steadily. After checking the authenticity of the demonic crystals, Ningyu took out the two-realm stone from the heavenly demon tower. As soon as Ningyu took out the two-realm stone, the old man in white's expression changed slightly. If he was hesitant just now, he was almost sure that Ningyu had a treasure that could isolate the aura of the two-realm stone. Swoosh! As the old man in white was thinking, Ningyu had already thrown out the two-realm stone. Ningyu was very reliable. When he said to throw the two-realm stone in the middle, he did it. Now, the distance between Ningyu and the old man in white was exactly the same. Give me the remaining 7 demonic crystals, and I won't fight with you for the 2-realm stone. Ningyu said indifferently. Humph. Even if you fight with me, can you succeed? The old man in white snorted coldly and said sinisterly. Obviously, the old man in white didn't intend to give the remaining demonic crystals to Ningyu. In his opinion, the 2-realm stone was between him and Ningyu. With his speed, he could definitely hide to the 2-realm stone before Ningyu. Ningyu was only a late-stage heavenly monarch. How could he fight with him? You could try. Ningyu had obviously expected the old man in white to do this. He shrugged and said indifferently, "Let's see if you can get the 2-realm stone first, or if I'm faster." "You're cheating." The old man in white took a step forward and released his aura, which pressed towards Ningyu crazily. "Don't talk to me about these things." Ningyu's expression was indifferent as he said, "In short, give me the 7 magical crystals, and I won't fight you for the 2-world stone. Otherwise, I won't let you have it, even if I have to destroy it." The white-clothed old man's expression was gloomy and uncertain. He had indeed thought too little. With Ningyu's intelligence, how could he let him get the 2-world stone so easily? Ningyu was already very lucky to be able to throw the 2-realm stone in the middle. "All right, I'll give you the crystal." The white-robed elder pondered for a moment before he took out 7 magical crystals and threw them at Ningyu. Swish, 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 swish. The 7 mana crystals flew towards Ningyu from 7 different directions. "Go in." Ningyu reacted quickly and immediately grabbed the 7 magical crystals. Furthermore, Ningyu did not choose to keep the magical crystal in his robes. Instead, he threw it into the Heavenly Demon Tower along with the other 3. The Heavenly Demon Tower had a suppressive effect on heavenly demons and could block their senses. By placing the magical crystals in the Heavenly Demon Tower, the white-robed elder would not be able to retrieve them even if he had any schemes. As for the 2-world stone in the middle, Ningyu had no intention of fighting with the white-robed elder for it. There was no other reason. The Heavenly Demon Tower had already separated the 2-world stone. To be more precise, there was a miniature version of the 2-world stone in the Heavenly Demon Tower. The 2-world stone that the white-robed elder obtained was just the tip of the iceberg. The truly useful part, the part that could resist the pressure of the Heavenly Tao, was in the Heavenly Demon Tower. Ha ha ha! The white-robed elder did not know this. He held the Heavenly Demon Tower and inspected it. Then, he raised his head and let out a maniacal laugh. After laughing, the white-robed elder looked at Ningyu coldly and said fiercely, "Now that I have the 2-world stone, I'll give you a chance to live. Open your mind and let me control you. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is." Whoosh! As he spoke, the white-robed elder took out a black stone from his robes. Demonic stone. After much consideration, the white-robed elder finally made up his mind to use the demonic stone on Ningyu. A peerless genius like Ningyu would have limitless potential as long as he was nurtured a little. It was not a waste to use a demonic stone on Ningyu. "You want me to open my mind?" Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "Why don't you take a piss and look in the mirror to see if you're qualified?" Crack! As Ningyu conversed with the white-robed elder, he used a secret skill to refine the demonic crystal in the Heavenly Demon Tower. Chi-chi! A steady stream of energy flowed through the Heavenly Demon Tower and entered Ningyu's skin before entering his body. His mental cultivation method circulated quickly. Ningyu cultivated quickly, trying to increase his cultivation to the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm before the white-robed elder went crazy. In fact, Ningyu was not weak. After advancing to the late-stage Heavenly Monarch realm, his overall strength was equivalent to the limit of this continent when he used all his trump cards. However, there was still a gap between him and the first-stage half-step Immortal King. The white-robed elder was a second-stage half-step Immortal King, and he had one 2-realm stone, which meant that he could exert the strength of a first-stage half-step Immortal King. How powerful was a first-stage half-step Immortal King? At the very least, before Ningyu advanced to the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm, he would not be a match for a first-stage half-step Immortal King. It seems that you won't give up until you see the coffin. The white-robed elder played with the two-realm stone in his hand and said, "I will let you know the true strength of a second-stage half-step immortal king." Boom! The next moment, the white-robed elder threw the two-realm stones into the air, and the aura in his body burst out without reservation. Crack, crack, crack. The aura of a second-stage half-step immortal king was extremely powerful. Under the pressure of the white-robed elder's aura, Du Shida and Lin Lang, who were fighting over there, stopped and looked at the white-robed elder. "It's dangerous." Lin Lang did not look good. He came from the immortal court, so he naturally knew what a second-stage half-step immortal king was. The aura that burst out of the white-robed elder had reached the peak of a second-stage half-step immortal king, and he was only one step away from the third-stage half-step immortal king. Originally, this was outside the immortal court, and the stronger the strength that burst out, the more likely it was to cause the pressure of the heavenly Tao. However, the white-robed elder had a two-realm stone. The two-realm stone could completely deceive the heavenly Tao, so the white-robed elder could attack unscrupulously. Rumble. However, the ideal was very rich, but the reality was very harsh. Ningyu did not care about the pressure that burst out of the white-robed elder's aura. "Lin Lang, leave with me." With both feet on the ground, Ningyu immediately flew to Lin Lang's side, grabbed Lin Lang's shoulder, and said in a deep voice, "Show all your trump cards. Don't hold anything back." "Why?" Lin Lang hesitated. With the white-robed elder's powerful strength of a second-stage half-step immortal king, even if he and Ningyu worked together, they might not be able to escape. However, looking at the look in Ningyu's eyes, Lin Lang still felt that things were not that simple. "Why do you have so many questions?" Ningyu kicked Lin Lang's butt and said coldly, "If you want to leave, then leave. If not, then scram. Go." Lin Lang could not care less about the kick from Ningyu, and immediately wrapped the immortal chi around his ankles, and immediately fled into the distance. "Where are you going?" Puff. Seeing Lin Lang and Ningyu leave, the white-robed elder raised his head and shouted. Chapter 2363. There's something wrong with the two-realm stone. How smart was the old man in white? In an instant, he discovered the problem. Logically speaking, two-realm stones could unleash the strength of two half-step immortal kings. There should be no problem at all. But now, he was being oppressed by the heavenly law, which was enough to prove that there was something wrong with the two-realm stone. "I shouldn't have trusted you." The old man in white looked at Ningyu with a gloomy face and shouted, "Go and stop him. I'll reward anyone who stops him with 100 demonic crystals." Whoosh! There would be brave men under the generous reward. When the old man in white came, he brought many Lord of Heaven experts among the sky fiends. Now, these celestial demons were attacking Ningyu one after another. Demonic crystals were crystals that only half-step immortal kings or immortal kings could use. If these Lord of Heaven level sky fiends were lucky enough to get a demonic crystal, they might even have a chance to break through to half-step immortal king. "What should we do?" Seeing so many sky fiends coming, Lin Lang hurriedly asked. "It's about time. Kill." Ningyu took out the red demon sword and immediately turned around to attack. This distance was already beyond the attack range of the old man in white. Even if the old man in white was crushed to death by the heavenly law and self-destructed, it would be difficult to affect this side. So, Ningyu immediately launched an attack and fought with the sky fiends. Most of these sky fiends were Lord of Heaven level. With Ningyu's late-stage Lord of Heaven cultivation and the red demon sword, it would be easy to kill them. Poof, poof, poof. Ningyu killed 70% of the sky fiends, and Lin Lang killed 20%. There was one thing that was beyond Ningyu's expectation. Not only were he and Lin Lang killing the sky fiends, but even Du Shida also joined in and killed 10% of sky fiends. It was obvious. Du Shida had already predicted that the old man in white would be killed. He was obviously going to be controlled by the old man in white. Next, he was very likely to face the attacks of Ningyu and Lin Lang. In order to prevent being killed, It was the right choice to rely on Ningyu and Lin Lang. Rumble. Ningyu was only slightly surprised by Du Shida's attack, but he did not think too much about it. Ningyu's true attention was completely focused on the white-clothed old man. Whether or not the white-robed old man could be crushed to death by the heavenly Tao was the key. If the white-robed old man was still alive, it would be a foolish decision for them to stay. However, if the white-robed old man died, then staying behind would be the best choice. Damn it! In the distance, the white-clothed old man could not help but curse in his heart. After he found out that the two-world stone was fake, he wanted to withdraw his aura at the first possible moment and only unleash the strength of a half-step celestial king. After all, he had a piece of two-world stone. If he only exerted the strength of a half-step immortal king, he would definitely not be suppressed by the heaven Tao. However, it was a pity. Even though he withdrew his aura, he still couldn't escape the oppression of the heavenly Tao. Ka. The heavenly Tao's oppression was extremely powerful. In just a few seconds, several of the white-robed old man's ribs were broken. Ningyu, I beg of you, give me the two-world stone. Seeing that he could not hold on any longer, the white-robed old man immediately begged Ningyu for help. As long as you give me the two-world stone, I'll do anything. I can open my mind for you to control, and I can also help you unify the heavenly demon army. Do you think I'm stupid? Ningyu rolled his eyes. If he gave the white-robed old man the two-world stone, he reckoned that when the white-robed old man withstood the oppression of the heavenly Tao, he would be the first one to be killed. Ningyu would not be so stupid. Seeing that Ningyu was unwilling, the white-robed old man let out a hysterical roar. Without the two-world stone, his fate was almost predictable. He would definitely die. Du Shida, seeing that he could not get the two-world stone from Ningyu, the white-robed old man immediately shifted his target to Du Shida. No matter what, he had absolute control over Du Shida. I'll give you a chance to snatch the two-world stone from me. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. The white-robed old man began to threaten Du Shida, forcing him to snatch the two-world stone for him. However, even if Du Shida had the ability to snatch the two-world stone, he would not do it, let alone if he could. Right now, the white-robed old man was being oppressed by the heavenly Tao and had almost lost the ability to control him. What he had to do was to wait quietly for the white-robed old man to be killed. Then, he would think of a way to reconcile with Ningyu. After all, as long as the white-robed old man was killed, he would regain his freedom. You're courting death. Du Shida's inaction enraged the white-robed old man. He hollered, wanting to trigger the energy in Du Shida's body. However, just as the white-robed old man was about to trigger it, he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and his face turned extremely pale. Don't waste your energy. Ningyu's expression was indifferent as he said, It's your honor to die under the oppression of the heavenly Tao. I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. The white-robed old man's face was ferocious and his veins were bulging. Clearly, he wanted to self-destruct. Swoosh! However, right then, a whirlpool suddenly appeared in midair. An extremely terrifying, devouring force shot out from the vortex and struck the white-robed old man's body. Subsequently, the white-robed old man's body was shriveling at a speed that could be seen by the naked eye. At this rate, it would take at most a minute for him to be devoured into human skin. Piak. However, it was obvious that Ningyu had made a wrong judgment. A minute? In just a short 10 seconds, the white-robed old man was devoured into human skin. Swoosh! The devouring whirlpool in midair also disappeared without a trace. Everything seemed to have returned to peace. Bang! Crack! After the white-robed elder died, one of the two world stones fell to the ground, and the other two world stone shattered. The two-realm stone that fell to the ground was a useful two-realm stone. As for the shattered one, it was returned to the white-robed old man by Ningyu. Ningyu didn't waste any time. His figure flashed, and he firmly held the two-realm stone in his hand. At this moment, together with the two-realm stone in the heavenly demon tower, Ningyu had a total of two two-realm stones. Of course, possessing the two-realm stone did not mean that Ningyu had the strength comparable to a second-stage half-step Immortal King. His strength was still at the peak of the half-step Immortal King realm. Instead of cultivating immediately, Ningyu squatted down on the white-robed old man and started searching. As the white-robed old man was devoured into human skin, Ningyu didn't find any pills, demonic crystals, or other useful resources. What's this? After searching for a full 10 seconds, Ningyu found a palm-sized token on the white-robed old man's body. King. There was only one word on the token, King. Ningyu frowned. What did King mean? Could it be that the white-robed old man was the king of the heavenly demons? There are a total of 4 kings among the heavenly demons. Lin Lang had already come to Ningyu's side. He looked at the token in Ningyu's hand and explained, the strongest among the heavenly demons is the Devil Emperor. It's said that his cultivation has reached the Immortal King realm. Under the Devil Emperor, there are 4 kings. Their cultivation ranges from first stage half-step Immortal King to 5th stage half-step Immortal King. The white-robed old man that you killed should be one of the 4 kings. Chapter 2364. Immortal King? Demon Emperor? For kings? Ningyu was dumbfounded. He knew that the heavenly demons were powerful, but he had never expected them to be this powerful. Originally, he thought that since the white-robed old man's cultivation had reached the 2nd stage of the half-step Immortal King realm, even if he couldn't be ranked first among the Sky Fiends, he could be ranked in the top 3. But now it seemed that the white-robed old man was not even in the top 5 among the Sky Fiends. This was because the 4 great kings and the Demon Emperor were celestial demons on the surface. Since ancient times, no force would reveal all their trump cards. So, there was definitely more than one Immortal King among the Sky Fiends. Looks like I have to be more careful in the future. Ningyu's expression turned solemn. With his current strength, it was already very difficult for him to fight against a half-step Immortal King, let alone a real Immortal King. How about it? Do you want to go to the Immortal Court with me? As Ningyu was thinking, Lin Lang's voice rang in his ears again. If you don't enter the Immortal Court, you will be hunted by the Devil Emperor for the rest of your life. Lin Lang continued, and after entering the Immortal Court, no matter how strong the Devil Emperor is, he will definitely not be able to enter. Upon hearing Lin Lang's words, Ningyu rolled his eyes. Obviously, Lin Lang was just scaring him, although the white-robed elder's death was because of him, who was the Demon Emperor. As expected, the Demon Emperor would definitely not take the risk to hunt him down just for a white-robed old man. Sha-sha. Moving his feet, Ningyu walked straight towards the ironwood fish. Originally, Ningyu had only heavily injured the ironwood fish. However, because there was no one to treat the ironwood fish died a horrible death in the end. The white-robed old man had been swallowed into human skin, but the ironwood fish had not. Ningyu's current cultivation was at the late stage of the Heaven Monarch realm. Once he devoured the ironwooden fish, there was a great possibility that he would advance to the peak stage of the Heaven Monarch realm. When he was in the late stage Heavenly Monarch realm, Ningyu was able to contend with and even kill a peak half-step Immortal King. One could imagine, after advancing to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm, even if he encountered a half-step Immortal King, he would be able to deal with it calmly and even forcefully kill it. Ha! Ningyu did not waste any time. He walked to the ironwood fish's side, squatted down, and placed his right hand on its forehead. Chi-chi-chi. A terrifying, devouring power flowed from Ningyu's body into the head of the ironwood fish through his palm. Next, the ironwood fish's body was withering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, a minute passed. The ironwood fish was completely swallowed into human skin. Boom! A terrifying aura burst out from Ningyu's body and rushed to the sky. The peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. At this moment, Ningyu broke through the limit, and his cultivation advanced from the late-stage Heaven Monarch realm to the peak stage of Heaven Monarch realm. I can't believe it. Seeing Ningyu break through easily, Lin Lang could not help but curse. He had worked hard to advance to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. Ningyu, on the other hand, in no time, his cultivation soared to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. According to this trend, it would not be long before Ningyu could break through to the half-step Immortal King realm, or even the Immortal King realm. Is he really not from the Immortal Lyceum? At the same time, Lin Lang felt very doubtful. Logically speaking, the density of the immortal qi outside the Immortal Lyceum, resources, and a series of conditions were completely unable to raise a peerless genius like Ningyu. Lin Lang suspected that Ningyu was most likely from the Immortal Lyceum, and was a native of the Immortal Lyceum. No, I have to trick him to the Immortal Lyceum. Lin Lang's eyes turned, and he was secretly thinking of countermeasures. Ningyu's talent, strength, and all aspects were very strong. He was going to the Immortal Lyceum to do something, and if he had Ningyu's help, the success rate would be very high. Once that thing was done, he could almost easily advance to the half-step Immortal King realm or the Immortal King realm. Ningyu, your strength has reached a bottleneck, and it will be very difficult to improve. Why don't you go to the Immortal Lyceum with me? Lin Lang persuaded. Shua. Ningyu shook his wrist and took out the two-world stone. It's okay. My strength hasn't reached a bottleneck. With the two-world stone, I can raise my cultivation to the second stage half-step Immortal King realm here. Ningyu shook the two-world stone and said. This, Lin Lang was dumbfounded. He had forgotten about this. Ningyu had a treasure like the two-world stone. Outside the Immortal Lyceum, he could raise his cultivation to the second stage half-step Immortal King realm. It's not impossible for me to go to the Immortal Lyceum. Just as Lin Lang was feeling melancholic, Ningyu patted his shoulder and said, You have to promise me that after we enter the Immortal Lyceum, you will unconditionally provide me with resources to advance to the half-step Immortal King realm. You are robbing me. Lin Lang shouted without hesitation. Provide resources to advance to the half-step Immortal King realm? Lin Lang wasn't that stupid. Given Ningyu's talent, the resources he would need to advance to the half-step Immortal King realm would probably be twice or even 10 times more than others. The matter he was going to do was to enter the secret realm controlled by Tai Muyu. He still wanted to use the resources in the secret realm to advance to the half-step Immortal King realm. If he gave all of them to Ningyu, what would he use to advance? If you can't do it, then forget it. I won't force you. Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, since he had to make a trip to the Immortal Lyceum sooner or later, rather than going in silently, he might as well extort some benefits. After all, Lin Lang's status in the Immortal Lyceum was definitely not low. Who knows? What if Lin Lang also came from some immortal country? Actually, Ningyu's guess was right. Lin Lang did come from some immortal country. Du Shida was the imperial preceptor of the soaring sky immortal country, while Lin Lang was the prince of the divine wood immortal country. Even though the divine wood immortal country and the soaring sky immortal country were both immortal countries, the difference between the two was huge. The countries in the Immortal Lyceum were divided into 4 grades. In a low-grade immortal country, the strongest experts were at the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm or below. In a mid-grade immortal country, the strongest experts were mostly at the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm or half-step Immortal King realm. In a high-grade immortal country, the strongest experts were between the 1st and 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm. Super Immortal Country. Only when a country had a true Immortal King expert could it be called a Super Immortal Country. The Soaring Sky Immortal Country that Du Shida came from was a mid-grade immortal country. The strongest experts were at the peak of the half-step Immortal King realm. As for the Divine Wood Immortal Country that Lin Lang came from, it was a high-grade immortal country. The strongest experts were at the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm. Ningyu, I can give you half of the benefits. Lin Lang gritted his teeth and said, After entering the Immortal Lyceum, I will go to a secret realm. That secret realm is located in the Soaring Sky Immortal Country. As long as you work together with me, I promise to give you half of the benefits. Swish! Ningyu did not reply Lin Lang. Instead, He turned and looked at him. After a while, only then did Ning Yu say, 73. I'll take 70 and you take 30. Isn't that too much? Lin Lang said unhappily. No matter what, it should be 50-50. 82. Ning Yu said indifferently. Fine, fine, fine. 73 it is. Lin Lang hurriedly said. Actually, Lin Lang was not a fool. Ning Yu's proposal of 73 wasn't without reason. After all, Ning Yu was very strong. Without Ning Yu, it was basically impossible for him to obtain any benefits from the secret realm. Chapter 2365. Dushita, I'll give you a chance to live. Ning Yu didn't pester Dushita anymore, since he had already discussed the conditions with Lin Lang. He came to Dushita and said, Open your mind and let me control you. No problem. Dushita had already expected this result. He closed his eyes and completely opened his mind. Xiao. Ning Yu didn't waste any time. A soul force swept out and entered Dushita's mind. Boom! The additional soul force in his mind caused Dushita's expression to turn a little unsightly. He knew that from now on, he would be under Ning Yu's control. He would only live if Ning Yu let him live. If Ning Yu let him die, he would die without a doubt. Seeing that Ning Yu had taken control of Dushita, Lin Lang hastily said, Ning Yu, in my opinion, we should go to the Immortal Court now. I'm afraid that the secret domain might be taken by someone else if we delay any longer. Taken by someone else? Ning Yu rolled his eyes and said, Don't think I don't know. Since you dare to leave the Immortal Court to search for the Mother Spring, it means that the conditions to open the secret domain are extremely harsh. At the very least, there must be a Mother Spring. Now that the Mother Spring has been devoured by me, what will you use to open the secret domain? Lin Lang didn't expect Ning Yu's guess to be so accurate. He was momentarily embarrassed. However, Lin Lang quickly adjusted his state of mind and said, There are two conditions to open the secret domain. First is the Mother Spring. Second is the cultivation of a level 1 half-step Immortal King. As he spoke, Lin Lang's gaze shifted to Dushita. The secret domain was within the Heavenly Empire. As long as Heavenly Empire had a level 1 half-step Immortal King, they could easily open the secret domain. Don't look at me. Dushita waved his hand. The strongest expert of Heavenly Empire is at the peak of half-step Immortal King. Without the Mother Spring, he won't be able to get close to the secret domain. All right. Lin Lang knew that he couldn't fool Ning Yu, so he asked, If you don't go to the Immortal Court now, where are we going? Gotcha. As soon as Lin Lang said that, the void trembled. Then, an illusory figure appeared. You killed the North Garrison King? The illusory figure looked at Ning Yu coldly and said in a deep voice, You are only at the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm, yet you can kill the North Garrison King, who is at the second stage of the half-step Immortal King realm. I have to say that you really surprised me. Demon Emperor. Ning Yu did not have much of a reaction. Dushita exclaimed, Weren't you at the Heavenly Demon Camp? How did you get here? You know me? The illusory figure raised an eyebrow and said, I don't want to start a massacre today. Here are 3 demon stones. As long as the 3 of you are willing to join the Sky Demons, I will spare your lives. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All of a sudden, 3 demonic stones flew out and headed straight for Ning Yu and Dushita. Kill. How could Ning Yu let the Devil's Stone fly towards him? He gripped the red demon sword in his hand and suddenly slashed out. Ka ka ka. Instantly, the 3 Devil Stones were cut into pieces. You're courting death. Seeing the Devil Stones shatter, the illusory figure, which was the Demon Emperor, suddenly rushed out and punched at Ning Yu. Ding! In the blink of an eye, the red demon sword and the Demon Emperor's fist collided. The two collided. Ning Yu stood where he was without moving, while the Demon Emperor retreated several feet before he could stabilize his body. It was obvious. Without using the 2-World Stone, even the Demon Emperor could only unleash the strength of a peak half-step Immortal King. No, to be precise, it was the Demon Emperor's clone. The Demon Emperor's original body was at the Immortal King level. When he sensed that the North Garrison King had been killed, he sent his closest clone over. Who would have thought? The strength that Ningyu displayed was far beyond his imagination. His clone's strength was at the second stage half-step Immortal King level. However, even the cleverest housewife can't cook without rice. Even if his clone's strength was at the second stage half-step Immortal King level, he only had one two-world stone on him, so he couldn't unleash his peak combat power. I'll give you one last chance. The Demon Emperor's clone's eyes flickered, and he said coldly, "Surrender, or die." "I'm sorry, I'll also give you a choice." Ningyu shrugged and said, "Either I kill you, or you kill yourself." Arrogant. The Demon Emperor's clone roared angrily and immediately activated the two-world stone. Boom! As soon as the two-world stone was activated, the aura of the Demon Emperor's clone soared to the first stage half-step Immortal King level. Step back. Ningyu first ordered Lin Lang and Du Shida. Then he took a step forward and said to the Demon Emperor in a deep voice, "If you want to kill me, it depends on whether you have the ability or not." Rumble. While they were talking, Ningyu's aura suddenly surged out. At the same time, Ningyu also activated a two-world stone. Before swallowing the iron wooden fish, Ningyu's overall strength was around the peak of the first stage half-step Immortal King level. But after swallowing the iron wooden fish, Ningyu's strength had soared to the first stage half-step Immortal King level. They were both half-step Immortal Kings. There was no reason for Ningyu to be afraid of the Demon Emperor's clone. Die. The Demon Emperor's clone originally planned to use the Demon Stone to demonize Ningyu. However, seeing Ningyu's arrogance, he immediately changed his mind. He decided to kill Ningyu by force. A great battle. The battle was imminent. Ningyu and the Demon Emperor were fighting fiercely in midair. Should we go and help? In the distance, Du Shida looked at the two people fighting fiercely in midair and said hesitantly. In fact, Du Shida did not want to help Ningyu. After all, his cultivation was only half-step Immortal King level. Even if he went to help, he would not be of much help. However, Du Shida knew that he had to mention it. Otherwise, once Ningyu killed the Demon Emperor's clone, his fate would be very miserable. Go, of course I have to go and help. Lin Lang also knew what Du Shida was thinking. He waved his hand and said, "You go and help Ningyu first. I will hold the line for you." Du Shida's face was full of black lines. He was just saying that. If he really asked him to help Ningyu, it would be no different from killing him. "Don't worry, Ningyu will win." Lin Lang patted Du Shida on his shoulder as he spoke. "What you need to do now is to think of a way to contact the people from the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire and get them to seal the secret realm. Before we head over there, don't let anyone near." Understood. Du Shida hurriedly nodded. Ningyu had already reached an agreement with Lin Lang to explore the secret realm together. At this time, Lin Lang's words were Ningyu's words. "Gotcha." With a flick of his wrist, Du Shida took out a crystal ball, muttered a few words, and suddenly crushed it. The shattering of the crystal ball meant that someone in the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom had received the news. Rumble. Just as Du Shida sent the news back, in the distant sky, the battle between Ningyu and the Demon Emperor's clone had reached a critical juncture. I admit, I underestimated you. Chapter 2366. Hee hee, you want to kill me? It's not that simple. In the face of the Demon Emperor's clone's cold words, Ningyu smiled and said, "Although your strength is at the second level of half a step to Immortal King, you only have one two-world stone, so you can only exert the strength of a first-level half a step to Immortal King." Humph. Even if I can only exert the strength of a first-level half a step to Immortal King, killing you is as easy as killing a dog. The Demon Emperor's clone snorted coldly, and then energy burst out under his feet, and his body rushed out rapidly. Almost in an instant, the Demon Emperor's clone arrived in front of Ningyu. Rumble. There was no hesitation. The Demon Emperor's clone immediately punched at Ningyu's head. This punch was extremely powerful and heavy, and its power was extremely great. If Ningyu was unfortunate enough to be hit, he would probably lose a layer of skin even if he didn't die. Bang! It was a critical moment. Ningyu didn't choose to dodge, but instead punched out with a backhand. The two fists collided. Ningyu and the Demon Emperor's clone retreated a few steps at the same time. Looking at this attack alone, Ningyu and the Demon Emperor's clone were completely evenly matched. But as the person involved, the Demon Emperor's clone knew better than anyone that he was actually at a disadvantage. There was no other reason. That move just now had consumed half of his energy, and he needed at least 3 minutes to replenish his energy. On the other hand, Ningyu, the energy in his body had already been completely replenished, and he was back to his peak state. How could he fight like this? Originally, he and Ningyu were evenly matched in strength, and neither of them could do anything to the other. However, the speed at which Ningyu replenished his energy was really terrifying. If this continued, it probably wouldn't be long before he was killed by Ningyu. I have to think of a way. The Demon Emperor's clone was not a hothead. He immediately moved, turned his head, and rushed towards Lin Lang and Du Shida. Ningyu was strong and recovered quickly, so he knew that he was no match for him. But Lin Lang and Du Shida were different. Du Shida was at the peak of the half-step Immortal King realm, and Lin Lang was even weaker, only at the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. He couldn't beat Ningyu, but that didn't mean he couldn't beat Lin Lang and Du Shida. As long as he could take down Lin Lang and Du Shida, then Ningyu would definitely refrain from taking action. At that time, wasn't he able to easily control Ningyu? It had to be said, dreams were plentiful, but reality was harsh. Whoosh! Before the Demon Emperor's avatar could reach Lin Lang and Du Shida, Ningyu gripped the red demon sword, tore through the void, and stood in front of him. Kill! There was nothing fancy about it. Ningyu channeled all the energy in his body into the red demon's sword and slashed out. Damn it! The Demon Emperor's avatar couldn't help but curse. Originally, he was already close to Lin Lang and Du Shida. If he was given another second, he could easily take down Lin Lang and Du Shida. Unexpectedly, Ningyu charged out and used a killing technique on him. Go! The Demon Emperor's avatar wasn't an indecisive person. He knew that if he continued to fight with Ningyu, he would definitely be the one who would be defeated. Therefore, he didn't think too much and immediately tore through the void. Where there's life, there's hope. Although this was only an avatar, if the avatar was killed, the main body would more or less be affected. The Demon Emperor didn't want the death of his avatar to affect the cultivation of his main body. Ka. The Demon Emperor's avatar entered the void, but the sword light that Ningyu slashed out followed closely and entered the void. Rumble. The next moment, there was an earth-shattering rumbling sound in the void. Bang! Not long after, a figure came out of the void and fell heavily to the ground. The Demon Emperor's avatar. This figure was none other than the Demon Emperor's avatar. Pucci. The Demon Emperor's avatar spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face became extremely pale. The mountains will never change, and the rivers will always flow. We'll meet again. The Demon Emperor's avatar knew that there was no hope of escaping, so he scolded Ningyu coldly, and then his body gradually expanded. Obviously, the Demon Emperor planned to abandon this avatar. However, even if he abandoned this avatar, the Demon Emperor didn't plan to let Ningyu have an easy time. He made his body expand, and his purpose was to self-destruct. The self-destruction of a half-step Celestial King's avatar could at least kill a martial artist of the same level. Unless Ningyu's strength could be raised to the level of a half-step Celestial King, it would be very difficult for him to resist the self-destruction of the Demon Emperor's avatar. You want to self-destruct? Seeing the Demon Emperor's avatar's action, Ningyu didn't choose to dodge. Instead, he stomped his feet and his body rushed out. There was only one way to stop the Demon Emperor's avatar from self-destructing, and that was to kill him with a fatal blow before his body expanded to its limit. After all, a dead person couldn't self-destruct. Ningyu's speed was very fast, so fast that it was terrifying. The Demon Emperor's avatar's body had just begun to expand when Ningyu arrived in front of him, clenched his right hand into a fist, and punched out. Bang! Ningyu's punch directly hit the Demon Emperor's avatar's head. Instantly, The Demon Emperor's avatar's head exploded, and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Hiss! The Demon Emperor's avatar's miserable state made Dushita, who was far away, suck in a breath of cold air. Fortunately, he had surrendered to Ningyu. Otherwise, the Demon Emperor's avatar's fate would be the same as his. Swoosh! After killing the Demon Emperor's avatar, Ningyu didn't stay idle. He flew to the Demon Emperor's side, placed his right hand on the Demon Emperor's shoulder, and began to devour the Demon Emperor's energy. The Demon Emperor's avatar's head had exploded, but the energy in his body was still intact. After devouring the Demon Emperor's energy, Ningyu was confident that he could raise his strength a little more. Even if he couldn't raise his strength to the second stage of half-step Immortal King, he could still raise his strength to the fifth stage of half-step Immortal King. Boom! Previously, it only took Ningyu a few seconds to devour the Ironwood fish. But now, it took him a few minutes to devour the Demon Emperor's avatar. However, the effect was unusually remarkable. Before devouring the Demon Emperor's avatar, Ningyu's cultivation was at the peak of Heavenly Monarch. After devouring the Demon Emperor's avatar, although Ningyu's cultivation did not advance to the half-step Immortal King realm, he had reached the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm, which was the same as Tai Feng and Du Shibing. Indeed, it's a fifth-stage half-step Immortal King. After casually sensing the density of the energy in his body, Ningyu nodded in satisfaction. Pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm cultivation, a fifth-stage half-step Immortal King realm strength. It seemed like the Heavenly Demon was his lucky star. Every time he encountered the Heavenly Demon, his strength would increase to different degrees. Ningyu, we have to go to the Immortal Court as soon as possible. At this time, Lin Lang came to Ningyu's side and said in a low voice, "You killed the Demon Emperor's clone. If nothing unexpected happens, it won't be long before the Demon Emperor sends the other 3 monarchs to look for you. I admit that you're very strong, but against 3 monarchs, it won't be long before the Demon Emperor sends the other 3 monarchs. You have almost no room to fight back." I have a question. Ningyu did not directly agree to Lin Lang, but asked, "When I go to the Immortal Court, can I bring Dark Emperor and Ning Lu?" This Lin Lang hesitated. Chapter 2367. I see. Ningyu fell into deep thought. He did have a Celestial Dynasty token, but Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Water Moon Fairy, and the others didn't. Since the Red Fiend was a sword spirit, he only needed to fuse with the Red Fiend sword. There was no need for the token. But the Dark Emperor and Ning Lu were different. If they wanted to enter the Immortal Court, they needed an Immortal Court token. As for the others in the Red Demon Sword, such as Bai Zhanfei and Zhao Rui, Ningyu did not plan to let them enter the Immortal Court. Their cultivation was weaker, so even if they entered the Immortal Court, it would be hard for them to gain a foothold. He might as well stay in the Brilliant Void Weave or the Violet Orchid Weave. Actually, you don't have to worry. As if he knew what Ningyu was thinking, Lin Lang said, "There is a buffer city between the Immortal Court and this continent. We call it Broken Cliff City. If you want the token of the Immortal Court, you can buy it from Broken Cliff City." "You can do that?" Ningyu's mouth was slightly agape, and his face was full of surprise. For the sake of an Immortal Court token, the people outside fought to the death. But according to what Lin Lang said, one only needed to spend a certain amount of money in Broken Cliff City to be able to purchase a command token. It's not that simple. Dushita explained, although the Immortal Court token can be bought, the price is very high. Some people even offer two world stones for one. 2 for 1? Ningyu thought about it and said, "That's a good deal. Not worth it at all." Dushita said hurriedly, "The 2 world stone is a hard currency in the Immortal Court. Everything in the Immortal Court is traded through the 2 world stone. Without the 2 world stone, you won't be able to do anything. All right, let's go back to Violet Orchid City first. 3 days later, we'll go to Cliff City." Ningyu did not choose to waste time. He had to go to Steep Cliff City. It wasn't because he was afraid of the Demon Emperor, but because he felt that with the Demon Emperor's abilities, he would definitely be able to find his parents. Back then, he had wanted to go to the Evil Spirit battlefield, So he had left his parents in Stellar Sky City. No matter what, he had to bring his parents along with him to the Immortal Court. Why 3 days later? Lin Lang was puzzled. Logically speaking, it would be better to get to Cliff City as soon as possible. Who knew if the Demon Emperor would send people to attack if he was a step late? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Ningyu rolled his eyes at Lin Lang, then stomped his feet on the ground and dashed out. The reason why Ningyu wanted to go to the Violet Orchid Weave was because he wanted to keep the Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Fairy Watermoon, and Zhao Rui here. After all, he had killed the Devil Thearka's clone. He might even be pursued by the Devil Arch when he fetched his parents from Stellar Sky City. Rather than being wiped out by the Demon Emperor, it was better to leave the Dark Emperor and the others behind. All right, although Lin Lang really wanted to go to Broken Cliff City and then enter the Immortal Court, he knew very well that without Ningyu following him, it would be useless even if he entered the Immortal Court. Swish, swish, swish. Next, Ningyu, Lin Lang, Du Shida, the three of them were extremely fast, and it didn't take long for them to arrive at Zilong City. It was just as they had planned. Ningyu left the Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Fairy Watermoon, Zhao Rui, Rong Hao, and the two-legged demonic beast in Zilong City. As for him, he took the Heavenly Devil Pagoda, the Sky Connecting Disc, and the Red Devil Sword, and hurried on his way. Zilong City wasn't very far from Stellar Sky City. In addition, Ningyu had advanced to the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm, so it only took him a few hours to reach Stellar Sky City. After arriving at Stellar Sky City, Ningyu didn't show up with great fanfare. Instead, he informed the leaders of Stellar Sky City, and then he put his parents into the Red Devil Sword and took them away. Swish! After spending another few hours, Ningyu brought his parents back to Zilong City. As soon as he returned to Zilong City, Ningyu couldn't help but curse. There was no other reason. In front of Zilong City's main gate, several figures stood side by side. The ones at the front were none other than Lin Lang and Du Shida. Behind them, Rong Hao, the Dark Emperor, the two-horned demonic beast, Ning Lu, Fairy Watermoon, and Zhao Rui all had hopeful expressions on their faces. Lin Lang was a big mouth. He had already revealed the news that he would go to the Immortal Court next, and Ningyu didn't intend to let everyone go. The Dark Emperor and Ning Lu were fine. They had a close relationship with Ningyu, and Ningyu would bring them along. As for Fairy Watermoon, she had yet to avenge her parents, so she had to go to the Immortal Court. Zhao Rui knew that if she stayed, it would be very difficult for her to break through to the Heavenly Monarch realm. If she followed Ningyu, she would be able to break through to the Heavenly Monarch realm very soon. Therefore, everyone had different thoughts, but they all wanted to enter the Immortal Court. "You're here." Seeing that Ningyu had returned, Lin Lang revealed a joyful expression and hurriedly took a step forward and said, "I've already arranged it for you. Why don't we set off immediately to Broken Cliff City?" "You arranged it, my ass." Ningyu looked behind Lin Lang and asked, "How many Immortal Court tokens do you have on you?" "1. Lin Lang was confused. He didn't know why Ningyu asked such a stupid question. "Prepare 6 Immortal Court tokens for me," Ningyu said directly. The Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Fairy Watermoon, Zhao Rui, his father Ning Hai, and his mother Du Yinshan, these were the people Ningyu planned to bring along. Apart from him, a total of 6 Immortal Court tokens were needed. Without the tokens, what was the point of going to Broken Cliff City? He only had 3 two-world stones on him, including the one from the Demon Emperor's clone. 3 two-world stones, at most he could exchange for 2 tokens. There were still 4 missing pieces. Without tokens, it was useless no matter how many people went. "Robbery!" Lin Lang roared. "As for the tokens, can we think of a way when we get to Broken Cliff City? I still have 3 extra tokens." Rong Hao took out 3 command medallions from his robes and passed them to Ningyu. "However, these 3 medallions are the same as the one you have. When you use the teleportation array, you will be sent to the Immortal Empire I'm from. The distance to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire is extremely far. Many thanks." Ningyu didn't stand on ceremony with Rong Hao and accepted the tokens. Since he had 3 tokens, he only needed to find 3 more. You think of a way to get the remaining 3 tokens. Ningyu said to Lin Lang, then turned and said, Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Fairy Water Moon, Zhao Rui, follow me to Broken Cliff City. The rest will stay in Violet Orchid City for now. When there's a chance, I will personally come back to pick you up. Hearing Ningyu's words, Bai Zhanfei and the rest showed a look of disappointment. But even though they were disappointed, they had no other choice. After all, the Immortal Court tokens were extremely precious. With their strength, it was almost impossible to get them. Let's go as soon as possible. After giving the instructions, Ningyu said loudly. Whoosh! However, Ningyu hadn't even finished speaking when the space in the distance trembled, and then a few figures descended from the sky. And the sudden appearance of so many martial artists made Ningyu's expression change slightly. But that was it, because these people's cultivation was not particularly strong. The strongest was an old man with a walking stick. His cultivation was around the peak of Heaven Monarch, similar to Rong Hao. As for the rest of the martial artists, their cultivation ranged from early-stage Heaven Monarch to late-stage Heaven Monarch. Chapter 2368. Haha, Rong Hao, it's been a few days. I didn't expect you to find so many qualified martial artists. The old man with the crutch looked at Ningyu and Lin Lang. Then he turned to Rong Hao and said with a faint smile, It seems that you what? However, before the old man could finish his words, his face was full of surprise. You, how is that possible? The old man with the crutch was extremely shocked, because he found that Rong Hao's cultivation had soared to the peak of Heaven Monarch. How long had it been? He remembered clearly that Rong Hao was only at the mid-stage of Heaven Monarch when they met in Broken Cliff City. Since his celestial kingdom was close to Rong Hao's, he and Rong Hao had an agreement to meet in Broken Cliff City and enter the Celestial Court together. This time, he passed by Purple Orchid City and wanted to stop for a while, but he didn't expect to meet Rong Hao. What was more exaggerated was that Rong Hao had reached the peak of Heaven Monarch, which was the same cultivation as him. Golden Snake Lord. Rong Hao looked behind the old man and said, You're not bad yourself. You actually found 10 qualified martial artists. The Omping Celestial Kingdom doesn't have to take risks in the next few decades. Tell me, how did you cultivate to the peak of Heaven Monarch? Golden Snake Lord obviously didn't want to talk too much with Rong Hao. His aura suddenly burst out and pressed down on Rong Hao crazily. He said coldly, In such a short time, you advanced from a middle stage of the Heaven Monarch realm to the peak of the Heaven Monarch realm. Even in the high-grade immortal kingdoms, few people can do this. Rong Hao rolled his eyes and said, Why should I tell you? Humph, you have to tell me today. Golden Snake Lord snorted and took a step forward. His aura soared again. Crack, crack, crack. Although Rong Hao had reached the peak of Heaven Monarch, he was still at an absolute disadvantage in the confrontation with Golden Snake Lord's aura. Cracking sounds came from Rong Hao's knees, which meant that he couldn't hold on any longer. Enough. Right at this moment, Ningyu's face turned cold, and he said in a deep voice, We welcome you to go to Broken Cliff City with us at any time. But if you want to make trouble, we're not afraid. Swish! While Ningyu was speaking, a cold light suddenly swept out of his sleeve and shot toward Golden Snake Lord. Not good. Golden Snake Lord's expression changed drastically when he saw the cold light shooting toward him. Without any time to think, he immediately retreated. Poochie! Even though Golden Snake Lord retreated quickly, he was still unable to withstand the impact of the cold light. The cold glint struck his chest. The enormous force caused him to spit out a large mouthful of fresh blood. Aura. He instantly dropped from the peak stage of Heaven Monarch to the early stage of Heaven Monarch. Under such circumstances, let alone Golden Snake Lord and Rong Hao, even an early-stage Heaven Monarch martial artist would be able to defeat him easily. Voila! Seeing that Golden Snake King had been defeated, the warriors behind him immediately moved and surrounded Ningyu. Who dares to injure the Golden Snake Monarch? Humph! You're finished. You've offended our tranquil, immortal kingdom. No one in this world can save you. Hurry up and cripple your own cultivation and kneel down obediently. These warriors of the tranquil, immortal kingdom were not stupid. Even someone as strong as Golden Snake Lord had been defeated. It was basically impossible for them to seek revenge. However, Golden Snake Lord was their superior. Since a superior had been defeated so easily, they should at least express their gratitude. Otherwise, once they returned to the tranquil, immortal kingdom, Golden Snake Lord would definitely make things difficult for them. Noisy, Ningyu did not care what these people were thinking. He casually waved his hand, and several cold lights swept out in a split second. Poochie, poochie, poochie. The martial artists who were the most arrogant were instantly struck by the cold light and were sent flying. Let's go to Broken Cliff City. Without looking at the fallen warriors of the tranquil, immortal kingdom, Ningyu stepped on the ground and immediately rushed forward. Swish, swish, swish. Behind him, Rong Hao, Lin Lang, Du Shida, and the others hurriedly followed. Damn it! It was not until Ningyu and the others were out of sight that Golden Snake Lord climbed up from the ground with difficulty. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Golden Snake Lord said fiercely, "Since you dare to hurt me, you should be prepared to be killed by me. Let's go." Broken Cliff City is full of crooks and honest folk. It's the best time to strike. Golden Snake Lord waved his hand and was about to set off behind Ningyu and the others. Swish! However, at this moment, the void suddenly split open. 3 figures descended from the sky. Who? Golden Snake Lord's heart skipped a beat when he saw the 3 warriors. He forced himself to calm down and said, "Why are you blocking our way? The aura is still here. They should have just left." One of the short-haired warriors sniffed hard and said, looking at the direction, "They are probably going to Broken Cliff City. I'm not sure if we can catch up with them if we chase after them now. It's fine if we catch up with them, but if we can't, Broken Cliff City will not allow us to enter. Don't worry. We can just find someone to take over," another long-haired warrior said. "Leave this peak stage heaven monarch realm martial artist to me." The last bald warrior pointed at Golden Snake Lord and rushed out with a roar. The long-haired martial artist and the short-haired martial artist looked at each other and immediately rushed towards the other heaven monarchs. "Who are you?" "I am the state preceptor of the tranquil celestial kingdom. If you kill me, you will be hunted down by the tranquil celestial kingdom." Golden Snake Lord's expression changed drastically. He shouted hurriedly, "As long as you don't kill me, I can." Puffed. Before he could finish his words, Golden Snake Lord's eyes widened, and he stood there in a daze. Obviously, the bald warrior had already entered his body and started to take over his body. Puffed. Puffed. On the other side, the long-haired and short-haired warriors found a late-stage heaven monarch, realm martial artist, respectively, and started to take over their bodies. The 3 of them took over the bodies very quickly. It only took a few seconds for Golden Snake Lord and the others to lose consciousness and be forcibly taken over. Run! The rest of the tranquil celestial kingdom martial artists fled in all directions. Even someone as strong as Golden Snake Lord was easily taken over. If they stayed any longer, they would definitely die. After all, these 3 warriors were different from Ningyu and the others. Ningyu and the others only defeated Golden Snake Lord, but did not kill him. These 3 warriors, on the other hand, were taking over their bodies, which was no different from killing them. Haha, in front of us, heavenly devil kings. How can you small fries escape? The bald warrior who took over Golden Snake Lord's body threw back his head and laughed, then waved his hands repeatedly. In an instant, several fist radiants swept out and blasted at these fleeing warriors. Puffed, 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 puffed. The result was not unexpected. The fleeing tranquil celestial kingdom martial artists were all hit by the fist radiants and fell heavily to the ground. The bald warrior and the others were heavenly devil kings, and their cultivation was between the 1st and 5th stage of the half-step immortal king realm. Previously, the white-clothed warrior, who was also one of the 4 great kings, was killed by Ningyu. In addition, Ningyu devoured the Devil Emperor's clone. Therefore, the Devil Emperor sent the bald warrior and the others to chase after Ningyu. They followed the aura and chased here, but unfortunately, they were a step too late. Go! Chapter 2369. Cliff City. It was located at the periphery of the Immortal Court, a buffer zone between the Immortal Court and this continent. Originally, Broken Cliff City was only an extremely small city, and the various buildings and facilities were not complete. However, as time passed, Broken Cliff City grew bigger and bigger. In the end, it even developed to the level of a colossus. Every city lord of Broken Cliff City came from the Immortal Court. Rumors. Broken Cliff City was controlled by a super immortal empire, and all the city lords took orders from the super immortal empire. Of course, this was only a rumor. No one knew whether it was true or not. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In the dense forest, 4 figures sped past. If there were people from Xilon City here, they would definitely discover that these 4 figures were none other than Ningyu and the others who had left Xilon City not long ago. Ningyu, Ronghao, Linlang, Dushida. As for the others, Ningyu allowed them to enter the Red Demon Sword. Ningyu didn't want any accidents to happen. The cultivation of the Dark Emperor and Ning Lu had not reached the Heavenly Monarch realm. If he were to encounter danger on the way and the Demon Emperor sent people to hunt him down, the consequences would be unimaginable. After passing through this forest, we'll be able to reach the buffer zone in about half an hour. Lin Lang pointed at the dense forest ahead and warned, "Remember, once you enter the buffer zone, you must conceal your aura. You must not leak your aura, and you must not fly in the sky. Otherwise, you will suffer the attacks of the enforcement team." Law enforcement team? Ningyu was puzzled. Wasn't the buffer zone Steep Cliff City? Why was there a law enforcement team here? As if he knew what Ningyu was thinking, Lin Lang explained, "You can understand the buffer zone as a large area. There are a total of 5 cities around it, and Broken Cliff City is located in the middle. It's the largest city. If you want to enter the Immortal Court, it has to be in Cliff City." "I see." Ningyu nodded in understanding. Since he had already understood the situation in the buffer zone, it was obviously not wise to stay and rest. It was better to reach the buffer zone first and then find a city to rest in. Swish, swish, swish. He didn't stop. Ningyu, Ronghao, and the others immediately moved and rushed toward the periphery of the forest. Drip, drip. Ningyu and the others were extremely fast. It should have taken them half an hour, but it only took them 15 minutes to leave the forest. The first thing that came into view was a huge city. Western City. This city was located west of Steep Cliff City, and it was called West City. Compared to Steep Cliff City, West City was much smaller. On foot, Lin Lang restrained his aura and said, "When we enter the West City later, you'd better not say anything. Just let Ronghao and I handle it." Ningyu rolled his eyes and didn't say anything. In any case, his mission this time was to go to Cliffside City, and West City was just passing by. He did not plan to do anything to it. However, if there were some rascals who came to cause trouble, he naturally wouldn't back down. Sha sha sha. His feet moved. Ningyu, Lin Lang, and the others soon arrived at the entrance of Western City. Halt! As soon as Ningyu and the others arrived at the entrance, they were stopped by 2 guards. One of the early-stage Heaven Monarch guards reached out to Lin Lang and said, "Please show your token." Whoosh! Lin Lang didn't waste any time. He shook his wrist, and a token with the word West appeared in his hand. He handed it to the guard. The early-stage Heaven Monarch guard took the token and looked at it, then returned it to Lin Lang and said, "Pass the token. You may enter. Remember, flying in the sky is not allowed in Western City, and you're not allowed to release your aura willfully. Anyone who violates this will be beheaded immediately." Boom! When the guard spoke, he suddenly released his aura, seemingly to intimidate Ningyu and the others. However, the aura of an early-stage Heaven Monarch couldn't pose a threat to Ningyu and the others. They kept the token. Ningyu and the others didn't stop and directly entered Western City. Swish, swish, swish. Not long after Ningyu, Lin Lang, and the others entered Western City, 3 martial artists rushed over. These three martial artists were none other than the three kings of the Sky Demon who had possessed Golden Snake Lord. The one who had possessed Golden Snake Lord was the bald Sky Demon. He seemed to know the rules of Western City, and he immediately took out a token and threw it to the guard. Subsequently, without waiting for the guard to exchange the token, he hurriedly entered Western City. The actions of the bald-headed martial artist and the others made the guards a little surprised. The token was very useful in Western City. Without the token, it was hard to move around. Keep it first. The guard thought about it and kept the token. Normally, for a token like this, as long as the other party came back for it, he would have to return it. Otherwise, if the upper echelons of Western City found out, he would have to bear the consequences. At the same time, on the streets of Western City, Ningyu, Lin Lang, and the others were walking side by side. Let's go to the black market first and see if we can buy an Immortal Court token. Lin Lang was concerned about the Immortal Court token, so he directly suggested there are black markets in the 4 major cities. If we are lucky, we should be able to buy an Immortal Court token there. Actually, Lin Lang had no other choice. After all, Ningyu had previously said that he wanted him to find 3 Immortal Court tokens. In order to get Ningyu to follow him to the Soaring Sky Immortal Kingdom Mystic Realm, he was going all out. With his foundation, he might be able to exchange for 3 tokens. Lin Lang had obviously been to the black market before. He brought Ningyu and Du Shida to the left and right. Soon, they arrived at the entrance of the black market. The entrance of the black market was secluded. From the outside, no one could be sure. This was because the entrance was located in an alley. The alley was spacious, and there was nothing there. Swish! Lin Lang waved his hands and tore a hole in the void. Let's go. Moving his feet, Lin Lang was the first to enter the gap. Ningyu did not hesitate. He followed closely and entered the hole together with Du Shida and Rong Hao. Chi-Chi. Just as Ningyu and the others entered the hole closed. Black. The first feeling that Ningyu had when he entered the black market was darkness. Pitch black. The second feeling, it was pitch black. Bang. However, this pitch black feeling did not last for long. The entire area suddenly lit up. Ningyu discovered that he was currently in a narrow passageway. There were many crystals hanging on the walls of the passageway. These crystals were extremely ordinary and were only used to illuminate the passageway. Are we going to walk like this? Ningyu was puzzled. Ningyu's perception was very strong. According to his observation, the passageway in front of him was very long. At the very least, if he walked at a normal speed, he would need at least a few hours to pass through. Obviously, Ningyu did not want to wait for a few hours. After all, the passageway was narrow and long. If he encountered any danger inside, it would not be worth it. No need. Lin Lang stretched out his hands and clapped. Clap, clap. As Lin Lang clapped, the passageway in front of him suddenly changed. The originally narrow passageway gradually moved towards the middle. 10 seconds passed. Chapter 2370. Creak. Not long after the door appeared, it was pushed open from the inside. Immediately after, a young man dressed in black slowly walked out from inside. Pseudo half-step Immortal King, Ningyu's expression turned solemn when he sensed the aura emitted by the man in black. He could tell. The man in black was only a watchman of the black market. To put it simply, he was a manservant. Even an attendant at the door possessed a strength at the pseudo half-step Immortal King realm. So it was obvious how strict the security within was. Anyone who tried to cause trouble inside would definitely be punished. For people, 1 2-world stone in total. The man in black did not beat around the bush. He looked at Ningyu, Lin Lang, and the rest, and said directly. Ningyu was slightly startled. Why do they need to pay the 2-world stone to enter the black market? Here, Lin Lang flicked his wrist and took out a 2-world stone and handed it to the man in black. The black-robed man took the 2-world stone and weighed it in his hand. Then he tossed 4 tokens to Lin Lang and moved to the side. Go in. Remember to make a ruckus in the black market. Otherwise, you will be expelled. We understand. Lin Lang nodded and hurriedly pulled Ningyu towards the black market. It was no wonder that Lin Lang was anxious. He was afraid that if he was late, Ningyu would look for him. After all, he had a few two-world stones. If Ningyu snatched them away, it would not be worth it. As long as they entered the black market, no matter how strong Ningyu was, he would not dare to do anything to him. One had to admit that Lin Lang was overthinking. As soon as they entered the black market, Ningyu turned and said, "Hand over the two-world stone." Lin Lang revealed a bitter expression and said, "I only have one two-world stone. I gave it to the man in black just now. You don't want to hand it over?" The corner of Ningyu's lips curled up. Sky Expanse Immortal Kingdom's secret domain. I might find. I'll give it to you, okay? Lin Lang instantly admitted defeat. He fished out an interspatial ring from his bosom and casually threw it to Ningyu. "Huh!" Taking the spatial ring, Ningyu released his perception and probed it a little. Then, he nodded in satisfaction. That's more like it. There were a total of 6 two-world stones in the spatial ring. According to the price of 2 two-realm stones for an Immortal Court token, Lin Lang's 2 realm stones were enough to exchange for 3 Immortal Court tokens. With just 3 Immortal Court tokens, Ningyu's plan would be complete, and he could head straight to the entrance of the Immortal Court. After accepting the 2-world stone, Ningyu started to look around. Ningyu found himself on a bustling street. On both sides of the street, there were all kinds of stalls. Some were selling pills, some were selling treasures, and some were even selling demonic beasts. In short, there are all kinds of them. Sha sha sha. At this moment, a middle-aged man in blue clothes appeared in front of Ningyu and the others. "You can look for me if you need anything. I'm called Detective Bao. I know everything." The middle-aged man went straight to the point without beating around the bush. "With me around, you don't have to worry about being ripped off or being robbed." Boom! As he spoke, Detective Bao released his aura, slightly suppressing Ningyu. Peak half-step Immortal King. Ningyu's expression did not change much. Not to mention Detective Bao was a peak half-step Immortal King. Even if it was a grade 1 half-step Immortal King, he would not be afraid. "What benefits do you want?" Ningyu asked calmly. "Hee 1 two-world stone." Detective Bao chuckled and said, "Not only can I provide all of you with information, I'll even be responsible for your safety. A single 2-world stone isn't expensive. After all, you've hired a peak half-step Immortal King on your own. You should know that you need 1 two-world stone to hire a peak half-step Immortal King. It's not expensive." Ningyu did not bargain. Instead, he casually threw a 2-world stone to Detective Bao. This was the black market. Having someone to guide them would save them a lot of trouble. Someone fell for it again. This is the 3rd group of people today, right? That's right. The first 2 groups probably met a miserable end. Let's not get involved. Detective Bao has a backer. Offending him will not end well. How sharp was Ningyu's perception? Lin Lang and Du Shida might not have heard the discussion of these people, but Ningyu heard it clearly. From the conversation of these people, Ningyu could basically conclude that Detective Bao was up to no good, just as he had guessed. However, Ningyu did not care. Even if Detective Bao was up to no good, it would not affect him too much. He paid Detective Bao a 2-world stone, and Detective Bao had to explain some information to him. The black market is a space opened up by the West City's city lord. After accepting the 2-world stone, Detective Bao did not waste any time and explained the origin of the black market to Ningyu and the rest. In the beginning, there was no black market in West City. In other words, apart from Broken Cliff City, none of the other 4 cities had black markets. It seemed that this was not beneficial to West City's development. Therefore, not long after, the City Lord of West City personally joined forces with the many experts in West City to open up this black market. On the surface, the black market seemed to be rather narrow and not very big. However, the real black market was extremely huge. Some areas required a 2-world stone to enter. The token that the man at the entrance of the black market had given to Ningyu, and the rest only allowed them to pass through certain areas. Of course, Ningyu did not want to go too deep. His goal was to exchange for an Immortal Court token. He did not think about anything else for the time being. 2-world shop. Detective Bao seemed to know what Ningyu was thinking. After introducing the black market, he began to recommend the two-world shop. As the name suggested, as long as one had a two-world stone, one could exchange for anything in the two-world shop. If you have any needs, you can go to the two-world shop. Detective Bao said, "The owner of the two-world shop is very close to me. I can give you a 20% discount if you want to buy something. Let's go to the two-world shop first." Ningyu waved his hand and said, "Different situations call for different actions." Since the two-world shop had two world stones, Ningyu did not want to waste too much time. "All right." Detective Bao looked delighted and hurriedly led the way. The two-world shop was not very far from Ningyu and the rest. Under Detective Bao's lead, they arrived at the main entrance of the two-world shop in a short 3 to 4 minutes. "Get your boss out here. We have a big business coming," Detective Bao shouted as soon as they entered the two-world shop. "Hee, I was wondering who it was." "So it's Detective Bao." As soon as the Inquirer Bao's voice died away, a chuckle came from the two-world shop. Then, an old man walked out slowly. First stage half-step Immortal King. Seeing the old man, Ningyu's expression changed slightly. The old man's cultivation was much higher than Detective Bao's. Chapter 2371. Elder Zhao, don't play dumb with me. These are my friends, and they want to shop here. I hope you can give them a 20% discount for my sake. Investigator Bao waved his hand casually and said, "Also, don't use those fake things to fool people. I've received their benefits, so I have to work for them. Don't worry. The Two Realm store has been in the black market for so long, which means that we are honest." The old man called Elder Zhao waved his hand and looked at Du Shida, asking, "What do you need? As long as the Two Realm store has it, we will give you a 20% discount." In Elder Zhao's opinion, Ningyu's cultivation was only at the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm, while Lin Lang and Rong Hao were only at the peak of Lord of Heaven. Among the four of them, only Du Shida's cultivation had reached the peak of half-step Immortal King realm. Elder Zhao thought that he had a clear view of which was more important. Being questioned by Elder Zhao, Du Shida first looked at Ningyu and then said, "Give us a few Immortal Lyceum tokens." "Okay," Elder Zhao answered, then turned around and walked towards the inner area of the Two Realm store. Not long after, Elder Zhao came out with 4 or 5 Immortal Lyceum tokens. Ding, ding, ding. Throwing the tokens on the table, Elder Zhao explained, "These Immortal Lyceum tokens have only recently come out from the Immortal Lyceum. If you need them, I will give you a 20% discount. 2 Two Realm stones for 1. Du Shida didn't answer Elder Zhao immediately, but picked up an Immortal Lyceum token from the table and observed it carefully. Rong Hao and Lin Lang also stepped forward and began to check the token. It was related to whether the Dark Emperor and the others could enter the Immortal Lyceum. Such a big thing had to be checked carefully. After a while, Lin Lang, Rong Hao, and Du Shida shook their heads at Ningyu at the same time. "There's something wrong with the token?" Ningyu frowned slightly. Actually, 2 Two Realm stones for an Immortal Lyceum token was expensive, but it was still within an acceptable range for Ningyu. But if the token was fake, then Ningyu would have to talk to Elder Zhao. It's not that there's a problem with the tokens. These tokens all belong to the countries at the border of the Immortal Court. Once you enter the Immortal Court with these tokens, you'll most likely be teleported to the border. Lin Lang explained, "The border of the Immortal Court is extremely dangerous. Even a true Immortal King wouldn't dare to say that he would have a 100% chance of survival. Then why are there still countries?" Ningyu was puzzled. Logically speaking, in a place where even celestial kings could not survive, there was no reason for a country to exist. Those countries only exist in name. Lin Lang continued, "There's a rule in the Immortal Court. As long as a super immortal kingdom hasn't canceled a small country, the Immortal Court token of that small country will always be useful." "I see." Ningyu nodded in understanding. After thinking about it, Ningyu turned to old Zhao and spoke, "Give me a few medallions from the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire or a country that is closer to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire." Whoosh. Old Zhao's expression changed slightly. Although the strongest expert in the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire was a peak half-step Immortal King, and he was only a first-stage half-step Immortal King, It was basically impossible for him to obtain a token from the soaring sky, immortal empire. For some unknown reason. Recently, the soaring sky, immortal empire's token had become extremely popular. The other tokens could be exchanged for 2 world stones, and the better ones could only be exchanged for 5 world stones. However, the price of the 2 world stones of the soaring sky, immortal empire was ridiculously high. In some places, the price had even risen to 10 world stones for one. Moreover, there was no market for it. Old Zhao's expression was gloomy. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "Follow me. I still have a token from the soaring sky, immortal empire." Sha sha sha. After saying that, Old Zhao did not wait for Ningyu's reaction and directly walked into the inner room. This time, even Inquirer Bao had a solemn expression as he hurriedly stood up and followed Old Zhao into the inner room. Ningyu and Lin Lang exchanged a glance. They could see the doubt in each other's eyes. Could it be that something happened to the soaring sky, immortal empire? Why did Old Zhao and Inquirer Bao's expressions change so quickly when they heard the words soaring sky, immortal empire? Du Shida, could it be that the ancestor of your soaring sky, immortal empire has revived? Lin Lang involuntarily glanced at Du Shida. Back then, the soaring sky, immortal empire was a supreme empire. But because of the war with the Ironwood clan many years ago, the immortal kings of the empire were heavily injured. It was unknown whether they were still alive or not. At this moment, the soaring sky, immortal empire fell from a supreme empire to a mid-tier one. Now, the reactions of Inquirer Bao and Old Zhao clearly indicated that something had happened to the soaring sky, immortal empire. He didn't revive? Du Shida also felt a little puzzled. When he left the soaring sky, immortal empire, the strongest expert of the empire was the same as him, a peak stage half-step immortal king. One of the main reasons why he left the empire was because he wanted to find the mother spring of the Ironwood divine spring and open the secret realm, allowing the empire to regain its former glory. Then why? Lin Lang was puzzled. Why we care so much? Let's go in and take a look first. Ningyu waved his hand and said, "We'll deal with it when it comes." After finishing this sentence, Ningyu took the lead and entered the 2-world shop. Du Shida and Lin Lang hesitated for a moment before following closely behind Ningyu. Swish, 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 swish. Just as Ningyu and Du Shida entered the 2-world shop, for beams of cold light shot towards them. Swish. Ningyu flicked his wrist, slashing out 4 beams of sword light with the red devil sword. The sword light collided with the cold light, instantly shattering the cold light. I knew there was something wrong with you guys. After destroying the cold light, Ningyu coldly stared at Inquirer Bao and Old Zhao as he spoke in a low voice. Speak. What do you guys want exactly? Clap, clap, clap. Old Zhao didn't reply to Ningyu. Instead, he clapped his hands behind him. Sha sha sha. Then, a young figure slowly appeared in front of Ningyu and the others. You. Feeling the aura of the young man, Ningyu's face changed dramatically. It wasn't because of how strong the young man was, but because his aura was somewhat similar to the Taimu Yu that Ningyu had killed before. Actually, I've noticed you guys since you entered the black market. The young man said calmly, I can sense the aura of the Ironwood family from you, and you're not from the Ironwood family. This means that there are only 2 possibilities. First, you've met the Ironwood family before, and you're friends. Second, you have killed the Taimu family. So what? Ningyu forced himself to calm down. The young man was a level 2 half-step immortal king. In the black market, he didn't believe that the young man dared to do anything to him. Nothing. The young man said, First, let me introduce myself. My name is Taimu Chang, the old ancestor of the Taimu family. Chapter 2372. Whoosh. Hearing the words of the young man, Taimu Chiang, Ningyu's expression changed slightly. Since Taimu Chiang was the ancestor of the Taimu family, then today's matter would be rather difficult to resolve. After all, he was the one who killed Taimu Yu, and most of the other Taimu family warriors, such as Tai Feng, had died because of him. At this time, Tai Muqiang was making things difficult for him. To be honest, even if he had the strength of a fifth-stage, half-step immortal king, it would still be quite troublesome. There was no other reason. Tai Muqiang was the owner of the Two-World Shop, which meant that he definitely had the Two-World Stone on him. Although Tai Muqiang's cultivation level had fallen to the Immortal King level, who knew how much power he could wield now? What if he possessed the strength of a fifth-stage, half-step Immortal King? Wouldn't he be in serious trouble today? Hee, don't be nervous. Perhaps guessing what Ningyu was thinking, Tai Muqiang smiled and said, "Just now, Elder Zhao and Detective Bao were just testing you. They didn't mean to make you their enemy." Ningyu raised his eyebrows, feeling a little surprised. Judging from Tai Muqiang's words, he seemed to have other plans. As expected, just as Ningyu was pondering over the reason, Tai Muqiang's voice rang out once more. "Tai Miyu, Tai Feng, they were afraid that I would use up the mother spring of the Ironwood clan, so they secretly took the mother spring and left, leaving me alone in the Ironwood ruins." Tai Muqiang's expression was somewhat resentful as he said coldly, "The Ironwood ruins are the graves of the Ironwood clan's experts. I'm trapped in there, and it's almost impossible for me to survive. However, the heavens do not disappoint those who persevere. I found a new mother spring in the Ironwood ruins and healed the injuries in my body, allowing me to escape." Whoosh! Hearing this, Ningyu's expression changed drastically. His injuries were healed? Didn't that mean that Tai Muqiang currently possessed the battle prowess of an immortal king? The more he thought about it, the more Ningyu felt that it was possible. Because from the beginning to the end, he had not clearly felt Tai Muqiang's aura. What he sensed was only an aura similar to that of Tai Muyu and Tai Feng. Although he was shocked, Ningyu quickly calmed down. Counter soldiers with arms and water with earth. If Tai Muqiang wanted to take him down here, he would have to pay a price. "Tell me, what do you want?" Ningyu calmly looked at Tai Muqiang and asked, "Don't tell me you specially invited us here to listen to your story?" Of course not." Tai Muqiang smiled. "I heard that you guys want to go to the Soaring Sky, Immortal Empire. Can you tell me the purpose of your trip?" Thump! Although Tai Muqiang spoke lightly, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat when he heard it. Tai Muqiang. They were coming with great ferocity. His intentions were not in the wine. According to Ningyu's guess, Tai Muqiang's true purpose was to inquire about the secret realm of the Soaring Sky, Immortal Empire. Glancing at Lin Lang, Ningyu finally chose to tell the truth when he saw the sinister expression on Lin Lang's face. He then spoke, "We are heading to the Soaring Sky, Immortal Empire because we want to search for a secret realm." "Pardon me for asking." Tai Muqiang said, "Do you know that there are a total of 4 immortal kings guarding the secret realm?" "What?" Hearing this, Ningyu's mouth was slightly agape. 4 immortal kings guarding the secret realm? With this kind of strength, even if he went to the secret realm, what use could he make? How is that possible? Lin Lang and Ningyu's reactions were more or less the same. He exclaimed, "That secret realm is located in the depths of the mountains, and the entrance can move at any time. Not to mention immortal kings. Even existences surpassing immortal kings would find it difficult to accurately locate the entrance." Speaking up to here, Lin Lang's voice came to an abrupt halt. At this moment, no matter how stupid Lin Lang was, he could guess that Tai Muqiang was trying to get information from him. With regard to the secret realm, Tai Muqiang should know very little. Tai Muqiang did not mind Lin Lang stopping his introduction. He went straight to the point and said, "I want to cooperate with you and go to the secret realm together. What do you think?" Ningyu and Lin Lang's expression stiffened. "You have already put it this way. Even if we are not satisfied, what can we do? We have no objections, but..." Ningyu first nodded, then hesitated. "Speak." Tai Muqiang waved his hand and said, "If you have any difficulties, feel free to tell me. As long as I can help, I will definitely help you." "That's good. I am lacking 3 Immortal Court tokens." Ningyu stretched out 3 fingers and said, "I have 3 friends who also want to enter the Immortal Court, and urgently need 3 tokens that are closer to the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire." "No problem." Tai Muqiang flicked his wrist, and in a split second, 10 immortal court tokens flew out. Pa pa pa. Ningyu's eyes and hands were sharp. He steadily caught these tokens. After using his perception to scan, Ningyu nodded in satisfaction. 10 immortal court tokens, and all of them were from the soaring sky immortal empire. From the looks of it, he did not need to separate from Dark Emperor and the rest for the time being. After all, he had 4 tokens that belonged to Rong Hao. Once he entered the immortal court, he must follow Rong Hao to the immortal empire. Gotcha! On the other side, just as Ningyu caught the token, the front door of the two-realm shop was smashed by a few martial artists. I will go out and take a look. The sudden change caused Elder Zhao and Detective Bao's expression to change. It was rare for the big boss to be here today, and the two-realm shop that they operated encountered such an incident. It made them very angry. Swish, swish. Their figures flashed, and Elder Zhao and Detective Bao immediately left. Bang, bang. But unfortunately, Elder Zhao and Detective Bao returned not long after they left. However, the way they returned was somewhat strange. They did not walk back, but rolled back. They are very strong. Elder Zhao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, "There are a total of 3 people, and their strength is from stage 2 half-step Immortal King to Russell, Russell, Russell." Before Elder Zhao's voice trailed off, 3 martial artists slowly appeared in front of the door. Golden Snake Lord? Seeing the sudden appearance of the 3 martial artists, Rong Hao was slightly startled and said in surprise. These 3 martial artists were none other than those who had a conflict with him in Violet Orchid City. They were from the tranquil, immortal empire. Ningyu, Golden Snake Lord, who is also the bald martial artist, looked at Ningyu and said coldly, "How dare you kill the clone of the Demon Emperor and one of the 4 great monarchs, white-haired monarch? Today, we will take your life." Rumble. While they were talking, the bald martial artist's aura suddenly burst out, and it crazily pressed down on Ningyu. Boom! Boom! The other 2 martial artists also burst out their auras, pressing down on Lin Lang and Du Shida. As for Tai Muqiang and Elder Zhao, they were ignored. After all, Tai Muqiang had been concealing his aura. Unless one was stronger than him, it was difficult to see his strength. Chapter 2373. Ka. Being oppressed by the aura of the bald martial artist, Ningyu's performance was still stable. After all, he had the strength of a 5th-stage half-step Immortal King. But Lin Lang, Du Shida, Rong Hao, and the others felt a lot of pressure. Although the bald martial artist did not completely use his aura, there was still a cracking sound coming from their knees. Umph! Ningyu naturally would not watch them be persecuted. He snorted coldly, took a step forward, and said in a deep voice, "You must be the 4 great kings of the heavenly demons. If I can kill one of the kings, it means that I can also kill the 3 of you." Ha ha ha. The bald martial artist seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He first raised his head and laughed wildly, and then said coldly, "How arrogant. With your pseudo-half-step Immortal King cultivation, I'm afraid that killing the white-haired king and the Demon Emperor's clone was completely relying on luck, or relying on trump cards. Luck will not always be on your side, and trump card will also be used up. If I'm not wrong, now that you're facing me, it is like a sheep facing a wolf. You will definitely die." Just as the bald martial artist's cold words fell, an indifferent voice sounded in his ears. "Is that so?" At this time, Tai Muqiang spoke. Whether it was to put on a show or to leave a good impression on Ningyu, Tai Muqiang would not leave them in the lurch. After all, in his opinion, Ningyu and Lin Lang were very useful. At the very least, before entering the secret realm, he had to ensure that Ningyu and Lin Lang were not killed. "Who do you think you are?" The bald martial artist said coldly. "If you know what's good for you, get lost as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will let you know why flowers are so red." Hee. Tai Muqiang found it a little funny. A 5th-stage half-step Immortal King level heavenly demon actually came to West City and spoke to him, an Immortal King. One must know, even the City Lord of West City did not dare to be so presumptuous when he saw him. What are you laughing at? The bald martial artist's face was a little hideous as he said fiercely, I will give you a chance to live. Kneel down and count out me a few times. Poochie. However, before the bald cultivator could finish speaking, he felt his body lighten. He flew backwards and landed heavily on the ground. Dark red blood spurted out. The bald martial artist's aura of a fifth-stage half-step immortal king instantly dropped to a first-stage half-step immortal king. Moreover, it was still dropping. You defeated in one move. The bald cultivator's expression changed drastically. He had never imagined that there would be a celestial king in the two-realm shop. If he knew, he wouldn't have dared to come here, even if he was beaten to death. Before coming here, he had used the secret treasure that the Devil Emperor had given him to investigate. There were only 2 celestial kings in the entire Western City, and both of them were in the City Lord's mansion. Why did the two-realm shop also have one? The bald martial artist was puzzled. What about you? Tai Muqiang rolled his eyes and said, Open your mind and let me control it, or you should know the consequences. The bald martial artist's face was gloomy and cold. He was a heavenly demon. If he really submitted to the man in front of him, he could almost foresee his fate. He would first be a hired thug for a period of time. Then his energy would be devoured, and finally, he would be killed. This was the fate of almost all powerful heavenly demons. I can't give up without putting up a fight. The bald martial artist's expression changed, and he made a decision. He used all his strength to rush toward Ningyu, hoping to capture Ningyu before Tai Muqiang captured him. As long as he could capture Ningyu, Tai Muqiang would probably not dare to do anything to him. Good timing. However, the bald martial artist obviously forgot his current state. If he was still in his peak state and hadn't been defeated by Tai Muqiang, then he would have a high chance of winning against Ningyu. But now he only had the strength of a first-stage half-step immortal king, and it was still dropping. Given his current state, how could he win against Ningyu? Bang! Ningyu didn't let the bald martial artist down. He threw a punch, and it landed squarely on the bald martial artist's chest. Crack, crack, crack. Cracking sounds came out, and several of the bald martial artist's ribs were instantly broken. Run! Seeing the bald martial artist's miserable state, the other 2 heavenly demon kings hurriedly retreated. Seeing that the situation was bad, they immediately fled. As the saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. If they could use the bald martial artist's death to exchange for their lives, then they wouldn't hesitate to betray the bald martial artist. You, Poochie. Seeing the other 2 heavenly demon kings fleeing, the bald martial artist spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. The 3 of them had always acted together. Now that he was abandoned, it was easy to imagine that his fate would be miserable. Where are you going? Dreams were plentiful, but reality was cruel. How could Tai Muqiang allow them to escape? This was two-realm shop, Tai Muqiang's territory. Bang! Bang! His figure turned into a shadow. Tai Muqiang clenched his fists and punched the long-haired and short-haired kings. It was obvious. Tai Muqiang didn't hold back. His all-out punch almost killed the long-haired and short-haired kings. Luckily, the long-haired and short-haired kings used their trump cards at the critical moment to block the attack. Otherwise, they would be left with corpses. Even so, they were not much different from death. Their nostrils could only exhale, but not inhale. I'll give these 2 to you. As for this one, I want to interrogate him. Tai Muqiang pointed at the long-haired and short-haired kings on the ground, then picked up the bald martial artist and tore through the void. Swish! Tai Muqiang's disappearance caused the long-haired kings and the rest to have extremely cold expressions. They knew their fate was already decided. However, to survive, they still begged. As long as you let me go, I can tell you a secret regarding the Demon Emperor. Knowing that secret, the next time you fight with the Demon Emperor, you will have an 80% chance of winning. What nonsense! Ningyu wouldn't be tempted by the long-haired kings and the rest. He raised his right foot and stomped on the heads of the long-haired king and the others. Crack! Crack! In an instant, the long-haired and short-haired kings died. Pa! Pa! Ningyu didn't waste any time. He squatted down and placed his hands on the shoulders of the long-haired and short-haired kings. Chi-Chi, the devouring power in his body, surged crazily. The energy within the bodies of the long-haired and short-haired kings was decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long later, the long-haired and short-haired kings turned into human skin. Hiss! On the other side, Elder Zhao and Detective Bao couldn't help but suck in a mouthful of cold air when they saw the long-haired king's miserable state. Fortunately, Tai Muqiang was here today. Otherwise, the two of them plotted against Ning Yu's group. Their ending wouldn't be any better than the long-haired king's. Chapter 2374. Who? He didn't care about the changes in Elder Zhao's and Prying Bun's expressions. After devouring the long-haired king and the others, Ningyu couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. To be honest, before coming to the Two Realms shop, Ningyu hadn't expected to obtain so many benefits. 10 tokens of the Endless Sky, Immortal Empire. The long-haired and short-haired kings were extremely powerful. The effects of the 10 tokens had yet to be revealed, but the long-haired king and the others had already turned them into energy and entered Ningyu's body. You could say so. Before he devoured the long-haired monarch and the others, Ningyu's cultivation base was a pseudo-half-step immortal king, and his strength was 1. 5-stage half-step immortal king. After devouring the long-haired monarch and the others, Ningyu's cultivation base was still at the pseudo-half-step celestial king realm, but his strength had reached the 2nd-stage half-step celestial king realm. Voila! At this moment, the void cracked again. Tai Muqiang's figure flickered, appearing from the void. As soon as he appeared, Tai Muqiang's attention was focused on Ningyu. There was no other reason. He found that Ningyu's mental state had been greatly improved. Combined with the 2 human skins on the ground, Tai Muqiang was almost certain that Ningyu had devoured the long-haired king and the others. Terrifying. Tai Muqiang was shocked. The fact that Ningyu was able to devour the long-haired and short-haired kings in such a short amount of time and increase his strength by a lot was enough to show how terrifying Ningyu was. However, Tai Muqiang did not ask too many questions. Because the stronger Ningyu was, the better it was for him. His true purpose was to enter the secret realm of the Soaring Sky, Immortal Empire. He didn't want to become enemies with Ningyu for some minor benefits. Get ready. Come with me to the City Lord's mansion to meet a few people. Tai Muqiang only glanced at the 2 pieces of human skin on the ground before changing the topic. In 3 days, there will be a grand meeting in Broken Cliff City. At that time, Western City, Eastern City, Northern City, and Southern City will all send out a large number of geniuses. Martial artists go there. If you can come out on top in the meeting, the City Lord of Broken Cliff City will reward you with 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones. Whoosh! Hearing this, Ningyu was finally moved. 1,000 2 world stones was not an exaggeration to describe it as a huge sum of money. Go! While Ningyu was still in shock, Tai Muqiang stomped his feet on the ground and dashed into the distance. Let's go too. Without any hesitation, Ningyu immediately dashed out and followed closely behind Tai Muqiang. Actually, it was not that Ningyu was stupid. On the contrary, he was very smart. There were many experts in Western City, and many of them were more powerful than him. Under such circumstances, following Tai Muqiang was clearly the wisest choice. After all, Tai Muqiang had yet to show any signs of killing him. If he were to follow Tai Muqiang now, once he encountered any danger, Tai Muqiang would definitely come to his rescue. Just like how Tai Muqiang dealt with the 3 great kings of the sky demons, he took advantage of the situation. At the same time, Western City, City Lord Mansion. In the guest hall. At this time, more than a dozen martial artists had already gathered in the guest hall. Upon closer inspection, one would see that the dozen or so martial practitioners were divided into 3 camps. The leaders of the 3 camps were all very powerful. The leader of the left camp was called Lu Zhanfei. He was a 5th-stage half-step immortal king. The leader of the right camp was called Wu Xiong. He was a 4th-stage half-step immortal king. As for the leader of the middle camp, he was called Wang Yu. He was a terrifying early-stage immortal king. Whoosh! Not long after, in front of the main entrance of the guest hall, an old man in brown clothes appeared. Whoosh! When the old man appeared, everyone in the hall, including Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, and even Wang Yu, hurriedly stood up. Haha, everyone, please take a seat. The reason I called you here today is to discuss the Cliff Festival. The old man in brown clothes smiled and said, "No need to be so reserved." Obviously, the old man in brown clothes was the city lord of Western City, the Western Venerable. In order to ensure that Western City would not fall to the last place in the Cliff Festival, the Western Venerable had used his connections to invite Wang Yu and the others. "What are you talking about, Western Venerable?" Wang Yu smiled and said, "The matters of Western City are our matters. As people of Western City, we should share the burden of Western City." Ha ha ha, all right. Everyone, please take a seat. The old man in brown clothes laughed heartily and said, "I'll cut to the chase. I'm sure everyone already knows the rules of the Cliff Festival. As long as your cultivation does not exceed a first-stage half-step Immortal King, including first-stage half-step Immortal King, you can participate in the arena competition. As long as you can enter the top 10, the Cliff City Lord will reward you with 100 pieces of 2 world stones. The champion will be rewarded with 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones, an Immortal King elixir, and the Cliff City Lord's personal cultivation impartation." Boom! The crowd in the guest hall was in an uproar. The 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones were secondary. The Immortal King elixir was secondary too. Most importantly, the Cliff City Lord's personal cultivation impartation. One had to know. Even the last 3 disciples of the Cliff City Lord had not enjoyed such treatment. Today, we will start with a simple selection. 5 martial artists will be selected to represent Western City in the Cliff Festival. The Western Venerable continued. "Shall we start now?" Lu Zhanfei asked. "There's no hurry. Someone is not here yet. Just now, he sent a voice transmission to me, saying that he has a surprise for me." The Western Venerable waved his hand and said, "I'd like to see who is coming." Swoosh! Just as the Western Venerable finished his words, a few figures appeared at the main entrance of the guest hall. Without a doubt, these figures were Ningyu and the rest. The leader was Tai Muqiang, followed by Ningyu, Dushida, Lin Lang, and Rong Hao. "Tai Muqiang, you're late." The Western Venerable said to Tai Muqiang, "If you can't give me a surprise, I'll have to punish you." As he spoke, the Western Venerable shifted his gaze behind Tai Muqiang and began to observe carefully. The Western Venerable saw Dushida first. Although Dushida's cultivation was at the peak of half-step Immortal King, he was not very strong. In fact, he was very weak. Very soon, he was overlooked by the Western Venerable. The second person was Rong Hao. As someone from the Immortal Court, Rong Hao's cultivation was at the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm. His overall strength was comparable to a pseudo-half-step Immortal King. However, this strength was obviously not enough to catch the Western Venerable's attention. The third person was Lin Lang. When he saw Lin Lang, the Western Venerable raised his eyebrows. Lin Lang's cultivation was at the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm, but his overall strength was abnormally strong. In a one-on-one battle, Lin Lang could even compete with a peak of half-step Immortal King. Could he be the surprise for me? The Western Venerable was slightly disappointed. Lin Lang's talent was not bad. If he was nurtured well, when he reached the peak of half-step Immortal King, he should be able to compete with a grade 1 half-step Immortal King. However, the Cliff Festival was about to start, and time was limited. It was not enough for Lin Lang to reach the peak of half-step Immortal King. Chapter 2375. Pseudo-half-step Immortal King. The Western Reverend was utterly disappointed when he first saw Ningyu. This was because Ningyu's cultivation base was only that of a pseudo-half-step Immortal King, and he looked rather ordinary without any special characteristics. However, when the Western Reverend took a second look at Ningyu, he felt that Ningyu was not as simple as he seemed. This feeling He had only felt it from the eldest disciple of the broken Cliff City Lord. Could he be extremely powerful? With a thought, the Western Reverend winked at Wang Yu before pointing at Ning Yu. Wang Yu understood. He patted the shoulder of a young martial artist beside him and said in a low voice, "Go test that man. Remember, don't hurt him." Understood. The martial artist who was patted by Wang Yu was called Sun He. His cultivation base was at level 1 half-step Immortal King. Sun He was the strongest martial artist in Wang Yu's camp who met the requirements. He should be one of the 5 places. Swoosh. After receiving Wang Yu's order, Sun He immediately dashed towards Ning Yu at a terrifying speed. Back off. Seeing Sun He attack, Tai Muqiang also knew that it was a test. Therefore, he flicked his wrist and shot out 3 forces, forcing Lin Lang and Du Shida back several feet. Level 1 half-step Immortal King. Looking at the martial artists approaching him, Ning Yu's expression was emotionless. A mere level 1 half-step Immortal King was not enough for him to take seriously. Arrogant. Ning Yu's reaction enraged Sun He. He yelled, "Remember, the one who defeated you is Sun He." Boom! Sun He clenched his right fist and punched towards Ning Yu with all his might. Sun He used his full strength, causing the Western Reverend's expression to turn ugly. He glared at Wang Yu. If Sun He injured Ning Yu, how was he going to explain to Tai Muqiang? After all, it was not a spar. If he really injured Ning Yu, he would probably be ridiculed by Tai Muqiang. Wang Yu revealed a bitter expression. He also felt helpless. Bang! While Wang Yu and the Western Venerable were still worrying about Ning Yu, the battle on the other side had already ended. Ning Yu clenched his right fist and punched at Sun He's fist. Along with a clear and melodious sound rang out. Ning Yu did not move from where he stood, but Sun He was pushed back several meters. He only stopped when his body crashed into the ground. Poochie! He spat out a mouthful of blood. Sun He's aura was rapidly declining. Kacha! It was a critical moment. Sun He hurriedly took out a white pill and threw it into his mouth. The pill flowed down his throat and into his stomach, barely maintaining Sun He's breathing. Whew! After stabilizing his breathing, Sun He heaved a long sigh of relief. What a close shave. Fortunately, he had used his trump card. Otherwise, Ning Yu's move would have been enough to severely injure him. Little did they know, Sun He was overthinking things. It was not that he had used his trump card, but that Ning Yu had held back. Otherwise, even if Sun He had used his trump card, it would have been very easy for Ning Yu to severely injure him. Gulp! Inside the guest hall, when everyone saw how easily Ning Yu defeated Sun He, they all swallowed a mouthful of saliva, especially those who were going to fight for the 5 spots. Their expressions were extremely ugly. Originally, one of the 5 spots was decided by Sun He. They would fight for the other 4 spots with all their might. But now, even someone as strong as Sun He was defeated so easily. Didn't that mean that they only had 3 spots? What was more exaggerated was that Ning Yu's cultivation was not that high. Lin Lang and Rong Hao were both peak-stage heaven monarchs who came with him. They might take one of the spots as well. From the looks of it, what was there for them to fight for? He's not simple. The Western Venerable's expression changed from one of worry to one of seriousness. From Ning Yu's attack, he could conclude that Ning Yu was far from his limit. A stage 1 half-step to Immortal King was not his limit. Perhaps Ning Yu's strength had reached a stage 5 half-step to Immortal King. I have to find a way to confirm it. The Western Venerable was overjoyed. Once he confirmed that Ning Yu had a stage 5 half-step to Immortal King strength, he would definitely give Ning Yu some benefits and let Ning Yu break through to a stage 2 half-step to Immortal King. After all, a stage 5 half-step to Immortal King would definitely not be able to get the first place in the cliff meet. Although he was thinking about it, he did not show it. No matter how strong Ning Yu was, if Ning Yu wanted to get what he wanted, it must be tied to his interests. Thinking of this, the Western Venerable looked at Tai Muqiang and said, "You have indeed brought me a surprise. Don't worry. He will definitely represent West City in the cliff meet and will do his best to get the first place." How could Tai Muqiang not know what the Western Venerable was thinking? He waved his hand and said, "As long as you give him benefits, Ningyu will help you fulfill your wish. On the other side, Ningyu's face was full of black lines. How long have I known you? You speak as if we are very close. Even if we are close, I am not the kind of person who will fulfill my wish as long as there are benefits. I am a person with principles, an upright and outspoken person, 1002 realm stones. The Western Venerable stretched out a finger and looked around the guest hall. He said, if anyone can get the first place in the cliff meet, I will personally reward him with 1002 realm stones. Boom! The Western Venerable's words caused another uproar in the guest hall. In addition to the 1002 realm stones that the Cliff City Lord had rewarded, there was a total of 2002 realm stones. The reward of 2002 world stones was something that anyone would look forward to very much. I'll say it again. I'll cut to the chase. Let's start the selection. The Western Venerable said in a clear voice, Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, Wang Yu, Tai Mu Qiang, each of you will send a martial artist to fight in pairs. The winner will get the first place. The loser will stay and wait for others to challenge him until there are no more challengers. The loser will get the rest of the places. Rules. Simple and brutal. They would fight. The winner would get the place. The loser would lose the place. To motivate you, I've decided that whoever gets the first place will be rewarded with 102 realm stones. The Western Venerable took out a spatial ring and said, there are 102 realm stones in here. I'll leave it here. Next, you will fight in pairs. Whoever wins first can take it away. Ningyu, you go. Tai Mu Qiang patted Ningyu's shoulder and said, 102 realm stones is not a small fortune. Even I'm tempted. Zhao Hu, you go. Lu Zhanfei said. Fang Ping, you go. Wu Xiong said. Sun He, I think Jose should go. Wang Yu had wanted to send Sun He. After all, Sun He's cultivation was a grade 1/2 step immortal king. He was extremely powerful, but on second thought, if Sun He was defeated, their morale would be greatly affected if they met Ningyu again. Chapter 2376. I want to try again. However, Sun He obviously did not want to give up. He took a step forward and said in a deep voice, you have to get up from where you fell. Wang Yu looked troubled. Under normal circumstances, even if Sun He lost to Ningyu, he would definitely be able to get a spot as long as he participated in the losers group competition. However, Wang Yu was afraid that Sun He's consecutive defeats would affect his morale. After all, anyone would feel depressed after losing to the same person twice. Without a doubt, Wang Yu did not think highly of Sun He. He thought that Sun He would definitely lose in the second battle with Ningyu. Since Brother Sun wants to spar with Ningyu, I won't force you. At this moment, Jose took a step back and said, you have to get up from where you fell. This is true, but I hope that Brother Sun can act within his means and not make a pointless struggle. Humph, I don't need you to interfere in my affairs. Sun He snorted coldly and turned to look at Ningyu. He said coldly, I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept the challenge? Ningyu's face darkened. You can challenge me if you want, but you're bullying me by talking to me in such a tone. I knew you wouldn't dare. Sun He flicked his wrist and took out a storage bag. He said, there are 102 world stones in here. It's all I have. As long as you defeat me, it's yours. Gulp. Looking at the storage bag in Sun He's hand, Ningyu could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Was it really that realistic? I just didn't agree to it immediately, and you took out 102 world stones to tempt me. If he was not afraid that Sun He would keep the 2 world stones, Ningyu would definitely wait a little longer. Actually, I think that there's no need for any stakes in the spar between us. Ningyu waved his hand and said in a clear voice, we're fighting for a spot in the Broken Cliff meeting, so there's no need for us to fight to the death. But since you insist on taking out 102 world stones, then I won't refuse. Take this. Sun He was honest. He tossed the storage pouch aside and dashed toward Ningyu in a flash. Sun He's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Ningyu. He punched out, bringing with it a violent gale of energy, ruthlessly smashing towards Ningyu's chest. At the same time, on the other side, the Western Venerable One glared at Ningyu. He wanted to see if Ningyu could win easily in their second exchange. Although he knew that Ningyu was extremely powerful, he did not dare to underestimate Ningyu. However, he had to be sure. He had to look carefully, because he had already planned to nurture Ningyu. He could not carelessly hand over the benefits to Ningyu. Bang! All of a sudden, Ningyu and Sun He's fists collided. The two fists collided. The result was the same as before. Before Ningyu could react, Sun He was sent flying and landed heavily on the ground. Puffed. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Sun He's face turned extremely pale. The only good thing was that Sun He's aura did not drop this time. Whoosh! After defeating Sun He, Ningyu casually picked up the storage pouch on the table and shook it before saying to Sun He, "Thank you. I should be thanking you." Sun He was honest. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "Luckily, you held back just now. Otherwise, I would have lost a layer of skin even if I didn't die." "It's my duty." Ningyu placed the storage pouch into the Red Fiend and said casually. In fact, it would be very easy for Ningyu to defeat or even kill Sun He. However, Ningyu did not do that. There was no other reason. Ningyu and Sun He did not have a deep grudge. On the contrary, they might work together at the cliff meet. It would be irrational to severely injure Sun He at this time. Ningyu wins. The Western Venerable One's voice was heard. Second round. Fong Ping versus Zhao Hu. Whoosh! Whoosh! Fong Ping and Zhao Hu stepped out at the same time. They first saluted each other with their fists, and then began an intense battle. Rumble. The battle between Fong Ping and Zhao Hu was more intense. From the beginning of the battle to the end, it took more than 10 minutes. Fong Ping's cultivation was a half-step Immortal King. Zhao Hu's cultivation was a peak half-step Immortal King. Although the battle between them took more than 10 minutes to determine the winner, the result was not out of everyone's expectations. Fong Ping was the final winner. Of course, whether Fong Ping or Zhao Hu won, the result would not affect Ningyu. Anyway, he had already obtained one of the 5 spots. Next, after a few rounds of intense battles, the final 5 spots were determined. Ningyu, Sun He, Zhou Zhe, Fong Ping, Zhao Hu. Sun He was not discouraged by his 2 defeats. Instead, he became more courageous as the battle progressed and obtained the 5th spot. Ningyu, this is for you. After the spots were determined, the Western Venerable One tossed a storage bag to Ningyu and said, "I, the Western Venerable One, am a man of my word. There are 102 realm stones in here." Ningyu took the storage bag with a smile. Including the 102 realm stones he won from Sun He, Ningyu now had a total of 203 realm stones. Seeing that Ningyu accepted the 2 realm stones, the Western Venerable One said loudly, "Since the spots have been determined, our next task is to participate in the Cliff Grand Meeting and strive to get first place." Whoosh! The Western Venerable One was not a person to waste time. He reached out with both hands and tore a crack in the void in front of him. Then, he went straight into it. Behind him, Ningyu, Tai Muqiang, and the rest followed him into the void. Not long after, at the main entrance of Cliff City, crack! The void suddenly split open, and a dozen martial artists appeared. They were none other than the others. They were Ningyu and the rest who had left West City, including Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, Tai Muqiang, and the Western Venerable One. There were a total of 12 people. The 5 martial artists who were going to participate in the Cliff Grand Meeting, as well as Rong Hao, Du Shida, and Lin Lang. Whoosh! As soon as Ningyu and the rest arrived at the main entrance of Cliff City, 6 martial artists dashed toward them from the east. Soon, the 6 martial artists arrived in front of Ningyu and the rest. "Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's the Western Venerable One." The white-haired old man who was leading the group curled his lips and said sinisterly, "Don't tell me that West City is going to get first place again in the Cliff Grand Meeting like last time. Ha ha ha." As he spoke, the white-haired old man laughed maniacally to himself. That was because West City had indeed gotten first place in the previous Cliff Grand Meeting. However, it was the reverse first place. For cities, no, including Cliff City, there were a total of 5 cities. West City ranked last and was eliminated in the first round. According to the rules, the resources obtained by the first city to be eliminated would be reduced by 10%. Actually, the 4 cities were all under the jurisdiction of Cliff City. The Cliff City Lord had the direct appointment and immunity of the city lords of the 4 cities. Every year, the Cliff City Lord would take out a large number of 2 world stones and distribute them to the 4 cities. There were even rumors. Cliff City and the 4 cities had long been secretly controlled by the super celestial kingdoms of the Celestial Court. Of course. Chapter 2377. Eastern Venerable One. Don't you think you're meddling a little too much? The Western Venerate's face turned cold as he said, just manage your Eastern City well. There is no need for you to concern yourself with the matters of our Western City. It's just a joke. Why get angry? The white-haired elder, who was the Eastern Venerable Lord, smiled and shifted his gaze behind the Western Venerable Lord. Unfortunately, it was a coincidence. The first person that the Eastern Venerable One saw was Ningyu. When he found out that Ningyu's cultivation base was only at the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm, his mouth was slightly agape and his face was filled with astonishment. Ha ha ha! While surprised, the Eastern Venerable One threw his head back and laughed maniacally. After laughing maniacally, the Eastern Reverend said, sinisterly, Western City is really full of geniuses. I didn't expect that even a pseudo-half-step Immortal King could be sent to participate in the Broken Cliff meeting. That's right. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry is qualified to participate in the Broken Cliff Festival. If I were to encounter such a person, I would definitely beat the crap out of him. It might not be appropriate to search for his teeth all over the ground. Just cripple his cultivation. Cripple my cultivation? You guys are too cruel. In my opinion, you should break his arms and legs at most. No. In my opinion, let them kneel down and kowtow to us. I say, the 4 of you, can't you be more merciful? No matter what, he's a peerless genius that Western City had selected after experiencing innumerable hardships, so he ought to be given some respect. The 5 martial artists selected from the Oriental City began to discuss among themselves. The 5 of them had the right to be arrogant. That was because all 5 of them were first-stage half-step Celestial Kings. A stage 1 half-step Immortal King against a pseudo-half-step Immortal King. As long as the opponent wasn't a piece of trash, the opponent would basically be able to win. What is the meaning of this? This matter concerned the reputation of Western City, so Sun He immediately stepped forward to reprimand them. What do you mean? A young man from Eastern City puckered his lips and said, Sun He, I know you. You're at the half-step Immortal King realm, just like me. But I can tell you clearly that I only need to use 50% of my strength to deal with you. I can beat the crap out of you. Arrogant. Sun He flew into a rage. His figure flashed, and he immediately rushed towards the young man. Bang! Although Sun He was very decisive in his attacks, however, the result was not satisfactory. The young man was right. He had only used 50% of his strength to easily defeat Sun He. Allow me. Seeing Sun He's defeat, Jose immediately rushed out. Bang! The result was no different. Jose was in an even more miserable state than Sun He. This time, the young man had only used 30% of his strength to easily defeat him. Next, Fang Ping, Zhao Hu. The 2 of them overestimated themselves and charged out, wanting to regain some face for Western City. But the result was still the same. Papa. After defeating 4 martial artists in a row, the young man clapped his hands and said calmly, Western City is really getting worse with each passing year. Last year, a powerful martial artist appeared, but this year, all of them are repulsive. Whoosh! Hearing the young man's mocking words, Sun He, Jose, and Fang Ping all shifted their gazes to Ningyu. Ningyu, why didn't you make a move? Sun He's expression was very ugly as he said to Ningyu, the people from Eastern City provoked us. As the number 1 participant in the Cliff meeting, how can you sit back and do nothing? The others also glared at Ningyu. Obviously, They were angry that Ningyu did not make a move. The actions of Sun, he, and the others seriously affected the young man. He raised his eyebrows, and his gaze fell on Ningyu. It seemed that Ningyu was the most powerful one in Western City. However, the young man was a little confused, because Ningyu's cultivation base was only a pseudo-half-step Immortal King. He really could not understand why a pseudo-half-step Immortal King would attract the attention of Sun, he, and the others. Could it be? Was Ningyu pretending to be weak? Thinking of this, the young man directly cupped his fists at Ningyu and said, "My name is Qianbo. I hope to have a spar with you. Don't be nervous." Ningyu ignored Qianbo and said to Sun, "The dog bit you. Do you have to bite back?" "What do you mean?" Seeing that Ningyu had ignored him, Qianbo said coldly, "Don't be so shameless. Western Venerable, I thought the people from Eastern City were arrogant enough. I didn't expect the people from Western City to be even more arrogant." The Eastern Venerable said with a calm expression, "I hope that Western City won't encounter us at the cliff meeting. Let's go." Then, the Eastern Venerable glared at Ningyu and turned to walk toward Cliff City. However, before the Eastern Venerable could take a few steps, Qianbo said hurriedly, "City Lord, I want to have a spar with Ningyu, regardless of life and death." Swoosh! As soon as Qianbo's words fell, the surroundings instantly fell silent. This included the people from Western City and Eastern City. It was clearly irrational to have a life-and-death battle before the cliff meeting had even begun. "Are you sure you want to have a life-and-death battle with Ningyu?" The Eastern Venerable stopped in his tracks and asked. "I'm sure," Qianbo said in a deep voice. The truth was, Qianbo was a little uncertain. He had two guesses from the expressions of Sun, he, and Zhou Zhe. Firstly, Sun, he, and the others had a grudge against Ningyu, so they were trying to frame Ningyu. Secondly, Ningyu was very strong, so Sun, he, and the others were very convinced of his strength. It would be fine if it was the second possibility, but if it was the first one, he might not be able to bear the consequences. "This is for you." The Eastern Venerable and Qianbo had similar thoughts. In order to ensure that Qianbo would win, he secretly gave Qianbo a black bead when the crowd was not paying attention. The black bead was something he had obtained from the Immortal Court. It was no exaggeration. As long as the black bead was detonated, even a fifth-stage, half-step Immortal King would die. Initially, the Eastern Venerable was going to give the bead to the person who brought glory to Eastern City, but now he had no choice but to give it to Qianbo. This was because the grudge between him and the Western Venerable was so great that it could not be reconciled. In order to gain the upper hand in the battle against Western City, he did not hesitate to give the black bead to Qianbo first. "Take it." The Western Venerable was not idle when the Eastern Venerable gave the black bead to Qianbo. He silently stuffed a golden command token into Ningyu's hand, and then he said in a low voice, "At the moment of danger, pour your immortal energy into the command token, and it'll be able to exert a terrifying energy. Even a fifth-stage, half-step Immortal King wouldn't be able to bear the consequences." It was obvious. The Western Venerable and the Eastern Venerable were both willing to pay. One took out the black bead, while the other took out the golden token. Can I say something?" Ningyu accepted the golden token, then raised his right hand and said, "Qianbo wants to fight me to the death, but I don't want to fight him to the death." "You don't dare?" Qianbo said fiercely. "If you don't dare, then kneel down and kowtow to me." "I'm sorry, it's not that I don't dare, but I feel that even if I kill you, it won't do me any good, so I might as well not fight." Chapter 2378. Hearing Ningyu's arrogant words, Qianbo gnashed his teeth in anger. No matter what, he had the cultivation of a half-step Immortal King, while Ningyu was just a fake half-step Immortal King. A fake half-step Immortal King dared to talk to him like this. Did he really have the confidence? However, now that Ningyu had completely infuriated Ningyu, even if Ningyu had the confidence, Qianbo would still go all out and show no mercy. Taking a deep breath, Qianbo said coldly, "What do you want?" "Ha! Simple." Ningyu snapped his fingers and said, Add 1,002 realm stones. Swoosh. As soon as Ningyu said that, in an instant, the eyes of the cultivators on the oriental cities sighed, widened, and their faces were filled with disbelief. 1,002 realm stones? One should know, the first place of the Broken Cliff meet was only rewarded with 1,002 realm stones. Now Ningyu asked for 1,002 realm stones as a reward. Was he really that confident in his own strength? Ningyu's words made Qianbo speechless. To be honest, he had a lot of 2 realm stones, but he definitely couldn't afford 1,000. Seeing Qianbo's expression, Ningyu shrugged and said, "You don't even have 1,002 realm stones, yet you want to have a life-and-death fight. Aren't you ashamed?" You. Qianbo was shaking with anger. Being mocked by Ningyu in front of so many people, he couldn't help but feel angry no matter how thick-skinned he was. Moving his eyes, Qianbo looked at the remaining 4 warriors from Oriental City who were participating in the Broken Cliff meet. Although he didn't say anything, his meaning was self-evident. He wanted 2 realm stones. In Qianbo's opinion, as long as he could gather 1,002 realm stones, Ningyu would definitely have a life-and-death fight with him. "I have 200 here." After a while, a grade 1 half-step Immortal King took out a storage bag and threw it to Qianbo. "I have 200 too." "I have 300. I only have 100. After a while, Qianbo had collected 802 realm stones. He took out another 202 realm stones, which was exactly 1,000 stones. Shaking the storage bag containing the 1,002 world stones, Qianbo said to Ningyu coldly, "Here are 1,002 world stones. If you win the death match with me, they will belong to you." Bang! Immediately after, Qianbo took a step forward and shouted coldly, "I'll ask you one last time. Do you dare or not?" SOSO. Ningyu used his senses to check the storage bag and said, 1,000 stones of 2 world is indeed a lot, but it's nothing to me. You want to act shamelessly? Qianbo's eyes widened. If he was not afraid of the Western Venerable One, he would have taught Ningyu a lesson long ago. He would not have waited until now. Although the Eastern Venerable Lord was extremely arrogant, he was actually slightly weaker than the Western Venerable Lord. If they were to really fight to the death, the Eastern Venerable One would definitely be the first to die. On the other hand, the Eastern Venerable One's weakness limited Qianbo's ability to be arrogant. That was because Qianbo knew very well. He could mock Ningyu and provoke Ningyu with words, but as long as Ningyu did not agree to a deathmatch with him, he would not be able to make the first move. "I'm not trying to act shamelessly." Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "How about this? We'll decide this in one move. 1 punch for you, 1 punch for me. Let's see whose fist is harder." Ningyu's way of fighting to the death surprised Qianbo. In a death match, he had to use his trump card no matter what. Moreover, he planned to use the black bead that the Eastern Venerable One had given him right from the start. However, according to Ningyu's way of fighting, how was he going to use the black bead? Just as Qianbo was confused, Ningyu spoke again. "Let's make this clear. The one who dies has to hand over everything to the other party." Good Lord! The Eastern Venerable One's expression changed slightly when he heard what Ningyu said. He finally understood why Ningyu wanted to fight in such a way. It was obvious. Ningyu had seen how he gave the black bead to Ningyu earlier. Or rather, the Western Venerable One had found out and told Ningyu about it. Regardless, Ningyu knew that Qianbo had the black bead on him. Deciding life and death with 1 punch might seem exaggerated, but it was actually Ningyu's confidence in his ability. Just think about it. If Ningyu was a yes man, he would definitely use the token that the Western Venerable One had given him. "Okay, I promise you." After being provoked by Ningyu, Qianbo immediately shouted, "I hope you won't play any tricks. I'll stand where I am and let you punch first." In reality, Qianbo was not a fool. The reason why he didn't attack first was that he wanted to see what Ningyu was up to. As for deciding life and death with 1 punch, the one who punched later would obviously have an advantage. After all, the one who punched first would not burn his blood essence and vitality. The one who punched later could burn his blood essence and vitality to enhance his ability once he realized that things were not going well. "No problem. As you wish. Ningyu did not waste time talking to Qianbo. He stomped on the ground and dashed out at a terrifying speed. Ningyu's speed was so fast that it only took him 0.1 seconds to arrive in front of Qianbo, giving Qianbo no time to react. Oh no! Qianbo was indeed a half-step immortal king. Seeing that Ningyu had appeared in front of him rapidly and his fist was getting bigger, he immediately burned his blood essence and vitality to throw a terrifying punch. Bang! In the blink of an eye, Ningyu's fist collided with Qianbo's. The two fists collided. Qianbo stood on the spot without moving. On the other hand, Ningyu retreated over 10 m before he stopped. Swoosh! However, Ningyu did not choose to stop and recuperate. Instead, he rushed to the storage bag on the other side. Ha! He heaved a sigh of relief when he got Qianbo's storage bag containing 1,002 realm stones. What are you doing? Put down the storage bag. You've been defeated by Qianbo, so you should hang yourself. That's right. Kill yourself now, or we'll kill you for Qianbo. Ningyu's action completely infuriated the 4 martial artists from Oriental City. They all spoke out against Ningyu. They even displayed their aura, as if they would attack if Ningyu did not put down the storage bag and kill himself. Why are you so agitated? Ningyu curled his lips and said, the death match between Qianbo and I ended long ago. Qianbo was killed by me, so this storage bag should be mine. Moreover, I'm going to take all of Qianbo's belongings and even strip his clothes. Are you going to kill me? You? Hearing Ningyu's words, the 4 martial artists from Oriental City opened their mouths slightly, and their faces were filled with disbelief. They had seen arrogant people, but they had never seen someone as arrogant as Ningyu. You've obviously lost, but you make it sound like you've won. Humph. I'll give you one last chance. Put down the storage bag and kill yourself. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.